Chapter 931. That's bullying you. Mr. Yu, don't you think that this condition is a bit too much? Pengzhan asked in a low voice. Too much? In our dictionary, we've never heard of the word too much. Yu Bide laughed and slammed his palm on the stone tea table in front of him. Immediately, the hard natural stone shattered into pieces, and shards flew everywhere. Some of the shards flew directly onto Pengzhan's face, scratching his skin. Pengzhan stood there, his expression indescribably sad. House Chu's crisis had come, but he didn't have a plan to deal with it. The second condition, I can agree to it. I'll transfer all the shares to you. But the first condition, Yao can't marry into your house, Yu. Pengzhan hesitated and finally made this decision. He could lose the company, but he couldn't lose Yao. Marry into House Yu as a concubine? Yao would suffer a lot in the future. How could he ruin her happiness? Besides, it was her choice who she married. Why would he interfere? House Yu's words are like spilled water. How can we take them back? Haitian said coldly, Pengzhan, you need to understand that we're not bargaining with you. We're giving you a choice. Either your whole family dies, or you marry your daughter and pay the price. Make your choice. Don't go too far. Pengzhan gritted his teeth, his eyes shooting out flames of anger. He clenched his fists tightly, his body shaking uncontrollably. What do you mean by going too far? Yu Bide smiled. So what if we're bullying you? You can do whatever you want. You can find people, helpers, but let's see. Who dares to cause trouble for House Yu? Don't forget the identity behind House Yu. The rules of the common world don't work on hidden houses. Yu Bide's words hinted that if Pengzhan had any help, he should bring it out as soon as possible. Stop hiding it. He wanted to lure out the power behind Lin Yi. Of course, if Lin Yi didn't come out to help, it meant that Lin Yi didn't have any power behind him, and House Yu would be able to do whatever they wanted. You guys... Pengzhan felt a sharp pain in his chest. He held his chest as he breathed heavily. He didn't think that House Yu wouldn't even talk about conditions, asking for everything. One had to know that Pengzhan had already compromised, but they were still pushing. By the way, isn't your daughter's bodyguard very powerful? It's fine if she doesn't want to marry. As long as she shows some of her strength, I'll let her go. Yu Bide was afraid that Pengzhan wouldn't remember the strength behind Lin Yi, so he reminded him. Pengzhan was speechless. He didn't understand what Yu Bide meant. He thought that Yu Bide knew that Lin Yi had lost all his strength and was purposely making sarcastic remarks. Otherwise, if Lin Yi hadn't lost his strength, how would they have dared to come to him together? Think about it yourself. Give us an answer in 2 days. You only have 2 days. With that, Yu Bide left Pengzhan's office with Yu Haitian. Pengzhan sat on the floor, helplessly, as he watched the two leave. He didn't know what to do, how to do it. House Chu was already in trouble, but who could he blame? Pengzhan couldn't do anything, even if he regretted it. If it weren't for his benevolence back then, causing Gubong to have thoughts of betrayal and join forces with Qibing, this wouldn't have happened today. The greed of humans was limitless, especially for people like Jin Gubong and Zhao Qibing. As long as their greed grew, it would grow endlessly. Although they gave up temporarily because of Lin Yi's appearance, once Lin Yi lost his strength, these greedy people would come to him again. And now, not only was he in bigger trouble, but he also made some enemies for Lin Yi. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't have to go back to his hometown to hide. Although it wasn't entirely because of him that Lin Yi became enemies with these people. If it wasn't because of him, Lin Yi wouldn't even be able to get in touch with these people, let alone become enemies with them. These 2 days, Jiang Wen felt that his kidney was in pain, and he often peed blood. So he went to the hospital for a checkup, and the results shocked him. Young man, where did you get this kidney? It's rejecting it, and from the indicators it doesn't match at all. We need to remove it as soon as possible, the doctor said to Jiang Wen with the report. Wah! Jiang Wen froze. That's impossible. This kidney is mine. I didn't get it changed. How can it reject it? Your own. That can't be right. There are obvious signs of a kidney transplant on your body. Plus, this kidney looks a little different from your other kidney. The doctor couldn't confirm that it was a dog kidney from the X-ray, but he felt that it was different from Jiang Wen's other kidney. After all, people's kidneys were different, and they weren't exactly the same. There were some who looked abnormal. That Jiang Wen didn't know how to explain the reason behind it. It'd be troublesome if the doctor got suspicious and called the police. Young man, your kidney really doesn't match, and there are signs of rejection. If this goes on, you won't even be able to keep your life. It's better to remove it as soon as possible. The doctor said seriously, "All right, I'll think about it." Jiang Wen frowned. It wasn't easy for him to get his kidney back. How could he remove it now? Wouldn't that be a waste? The first thing Jiang Wen did when he got out of the hospital was to call Pinliang. Zhong Pinliang was celebrating with Xiaofu at home. He made a shushing gesture to Xiaofu when he saw Jiang Wen's call and picked up. "Hello? Wen bro, what's up?" "Pinliang bro, it's big," Jiang Wen said hurriedly. "The kidney I got doesn't match." "Doesn't match? How is that possible? Isn't that your original kidney?" Zhong Pinliang pretended to be surprised, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. It'd be weird if it did match. Unless you were a dog, how could you possibly match a dog's kidney? Yeah, I don't know either. But I just went to the hospital for a checkup, and it really doesn't match, Jiang Wen said. Plus, the doctor wants me to remove it. Chapter 932. Kidney failure again. It can't be wrong. I do feel uncomfortable. My kidney hurts, and I'm peeing blood. I went to a big hospital for a checkup, Jiang Wen said. Is that so? Could it be that the kidney has been in my body for a long time and was assimilated by me? That's why it rejected your body. Pinliang started bullshitting. He couldn't let Jiang Wen find out. Otherwise, Jiang Wen wouldn't let him go so easily. Oh, what you said is possible. Jiang Wen heard Pinliang's explanation and understood. Did you take a lot of medicine to prevent the kidney from rejecting your body? Yes, it must be the medicine that changed your kidney. Pinliang thought that Jiang Wen was quite smart. He didn't even know how to explain it, and he already found a reason for it. Is that so? Then what should I do? Right now, my kidneys are rejecting it. Jiang Wen wanted to cry, but no tears came out. His kidney. How could it be assimilated by Pinliang just like that? What should he do? He didn't dare to go to a big hospital to find a solution. After all, this matter was a bit strange. If he told the truth, it was hard to guarantee that the doctor wouldn't be suspicious. If the doctor asked him why he transplanted the kidney to someone else and then transplanted it back, how would he explain it? Plus, he took a lot of medicine to prevent the kidney from rejecting it. If the doctor had another solution, he wouldn't have asked him to do the surgery. It wasn't like he couldn't afford it. Your situation is a little special, but I know a miracle doctor. You can go to him. He might have a solution, Pinliang said after some thought. Oh, miracle doctor? Where? Tell me, I'll go to him, Jiang Wen said quickly. Go to Floating Cloud Bar and find Zhao Yaowang. He's Master Bing's family doctor, and his medical skills are quite good. He's very famous these days. Have you heard of him? Pinliang said. I've heard of him. The internet seems to be saying that Zhao Yaowang is really good. Jiang Wen nodded. I'll go to him now. Pinliang hung up the phone and cursed at the idiot before calling Master Bing. Hello. Qibing picked up the phone. He was having a great time listening to Zihua and Yaowang's report. It seemed that Pingzhan was at the end of his rope, and Lin Yi hadn't appeared yet. This meant that all the information was correct, and Lin Yi was crippled. He was now a cripple. Qibing was overjoyed at the thought of owning a real estate company. Master Bing, I'm Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang said. Oh, it's Liangzi. What's the matter? Under normal circumstances, Zhao Qibing wouldn't talk to Pinliang directly, but since he was in a good mood today, he didn't get mad at him. Pinliang, on the other hand, called because of the urgency of the matter. Master Bing, I've introduced a fat sheep to you. You just have to rip him off. Oh, really? That's great. What illness? Qibing's mood brightened when he heard that someone was giving him money again. It's that Jiang Wen, the one who got a dog kidney. Pin Liang said. He's showing signs of rejection now. Yao Wang will decide how to deal with it. No problem. Xiao Liangzi, I will remember this merit of yours. House Zhong will definitely benefit from it, Qibing said. It's my duty to do things for Master Bing. Why would I need any benefits? Pin Liang said hypocritically. After Pin Liang hung up the phone, Xiaofu gave him a thumbs up. Liang bro, you're brilliant. Brilliant. This Jiang Wen is dead because of you. What a ruthless move. Killing without spilling blood. He should be thanking you for tricking him to death. Of course. That's the best way to treat your enemy. Pin Liang laughed. I, Pin Liang, am no longer the Pin Liang I used to be. What we're doing now is smart, unlike before, where we only knew how to do things recklessly. Yeah, Liang bro, I've noticed that you're getting smarter and smarter. Xiaofu nodded. Ha, come. Let's continue celebrating Lin Yi's death and Peng Zhan's fall. Pin Liang raised his glass. Cheers, Xiaofu said happily. Right, Liang bro, you said that Lin Yi is like this now. Why don't we go and kick him a little and get some benefits back? What for? You idiot. Pin Liang glared at Xiaofu. Why can't your IQ grow like mine? Why are you still at kindergarten level? Do you dare go to elementary school level? I haven't been through life and death. I don't have opportunities like you, Liang bro. Xiaofu laughed dryly. But why can't we go? First of all, don't underestimate that Lin Yi. He's able to toy with us like this, even crippling me. He's no ordinary person. Pin Liang humphed. That kid's the best at pretending to be weak. Did you forget how badly he played us? That's true, but this time he lost his strength, right? Xiaofu nodded, then shook his head. Lost? How do you know? Pin Liang said. How do you know if he's really gone or not? What if he's lying? It's not like he hasn't done it before. Master Bing thought that he lost his strength last time, but what happened? The skyscraper collapsed again. I see. Xiaofu thought about it. It made sense, but he still asked. But why hasn't Lin Yi done anything yet? I don't understand that kid. He's not like that idiot Jiang Wen who I can play with. Pin Liang shook his head. In other words, I'm traumatized. Lin Yi's situation isn't something a normal person can understand. Oh, that's true. Xiaofu nodded. That's the first thing. Is there a second thing? The second thing is, look, the ones fighting for benefits are all people like Xiao family and Master Bing. My old man, as Master Bing's subordinate, would think that we're stealing food from a tiger's mouth? That wouldn't be good, would it? Pin Liang said. Liang bro, you've thought of everything. Xiaofu said, impressed. Now's not the time for us to show off. When Zhang Naipeo leaves the mountain, that's when I, Pin Liang, will show off. Pin Liang said proudly. Chapter 933. Too evil. Jiang Wen had been very happy these past few days. Not only did he get his kidney back, but he also got the underground arena that the fire wolves promised him. What Jiang Wen didn't expect was that the fire wolves promised to send him a mystic early-phase physical practitioner, but now they sent him a mystic mid-phase peak physical practitioner. This huge difference in strength surprised Jiang Wen beyond words. This was a practitioner who was one level higher than Lin Yi. Of course, Jiang Wen didn't know that Lin Yi had lost all his martial arts. He had been focusing on his kidney these past few days, and he didn't have the mood to ask about other things. However, when Jiang Wen found out that his kidney didn't match, he came back to reality from his fantasy. He didn't have the mood to think about other things anymore. He rushed to the floating cloud bar and saw Master Bing and Yao Wang. Jiang Wen knew Master Bing and Sihua. They even worked together to sell their kidneys, so they weren't strangers. Jiang Wen told them his purpose as soon as he entered the bar. Master Bing and Yao Wang, who already knew the truth, pretended to be surprised as they looked at Jiang Wen. Master Wen, didn't you get your kidney back? How can it not match? I don't know. It's like this. Zhong Pingang said that it might be because my kidney was in his body for too long and it's assimilated. Jiang Wen said with a bitter face, the hospital can't do anything now. They want me to have a kidney resection, but I don't want to lose my kidney. This is my original kidney, and if it's removed, wouldn't I be getting it back for nothing? So I can only go to Yao Wang. I heard that Yao Wang is a great doctor. Do you have a way? The kidney doesn't match? Yao Wang had received a hint from Master Bing that Jiang Wen was quite rich, and he had to think of a way to get some money from him. However, Yao Wang didn't have any good ideas for Jiang Wen's current situation. His kidney wasn't even his, it was a dog's. What could he do? When Zhong Pingliang called, Yao Wang and Master Bing were discussing a solution, but they couldn't think of anything good. After all, human kidneys and dog kidneys were completely different. No matter how powerful Yao Wang was, he couldn't make them match. I'll give you a check first. The medicine king pondered for a solution. He couldn't let this fat sheep escape. Even if the medicine king was a swindler, his methods of swindling money were not random. Although he cheated people of their money, he also planted other diseases in them while curing their illnesses, so that he could continue to cheat them of their money. But the problem now was that he couldn't cure Jiang Wen's illness. This was not an illness at all. It was just that the organs did not match. There was no other way but to remove it. No matter how powerful he was, there was no way he could create a compatible kidney for Jiang Wen. What do you think? Yao Wang, do you have any ideas? Jiang Wen saw the frown on Yao Wang's face and his heart sank. He asked carefully. He didn't know that Yao Wang had no ideas at all. The reason why he frowned was because he couldn't find a way to cheat him of his money. That's not easy. Yao Wang shook his head pretentiously. Your kidney has already been assimilated to a great extent. Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have come to you, Yao Wang. I heard that Zhen Yingjuan's crooked mouth and eyes were fixed by you. Can you fix my kidney too? Jiang Wen begged. I really don't want to lose this kidney again. Fix it a little. Yao Wang sighed. How was he supposed to fix this thing? This kidney wasn't even his. How was he supposed to fix it? Yao Wang didn't have any ideas. Although he could get some money out of Jiang Wen temporarily, his reputation would be ruined if Jiang Wen found out that the kidney was still rejecting him. Yao Wang cared about long-term profits, not short-term profits. He couldn't ruin his future business just because of Jiang Wen. I'm afraid that you will have to remove it. Yao Wang sighed and shook his head. Can I not remove it? Jiang Wen was on the verge of crying. He didn't think that even the famous Yao Wang couldn't do anything about it. If I don't remove you, the medicine king wanted to say that it would be useless to keep it in his body if he did not cut it. However, he suddenly had an idea and thought of a brilliant idea. Wasn't Jiang Wen trying to keep this kidney in his body? It didn't matter if he didn't remove it. As long as he used his pure qi to seal the meridians around the kidney and make it useless, everything would be fine. As long as the nutrition of the kidney was maintained, it wouldn't die. However, it wouldn't function like a normal kidney. That was what Jiang Wen wanted. One kidney wasn't going to kill him. Jiang Wen wouldn't be able to tell if this kidney didn't function. He could just tell him that it was fixed. He was really evil. How could he come up with such a wicked idea? He was Yao Wang after all. Plus, this method was very secretive. Only people with pure qi would be able to do it. Normal people wouldn't even think of this method. Those who didn't know would think that Jiang Wen's kidney had recovered. So Yao Wang wasn't afraid of Jiang Wen going to the hospital for a checkup. What's wrong? Yao Wang, have you thought of a way to save me? Jiang Wen paused when he saw Yao Wang in deep thought. It's not that I can't do it, but it's going to cost me a lot of pure qi. I've already used up a lot of it during my treatment. I can't keep using it anymore. I can't make ends meet. Yao Wang shook his head and sighed. You know that I'm a practitioner. Pure qi is very important to me. It's even more important than my life. Practitioners can't do without pure qi. Just like Lin Yi, he's out of pure qi. Isn't he in trouble now? Yao Wang said. Lin Yi? How come Lin Yi doesn't have pure qi? Jiang Wen paused. He didn't have the time to think about Lin Yi. He quickly said, Yao Wang, saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda. Please save me. I'm willing to spend any amount of money, as long as you can heal my kidney. I see. Yao Wang didn't say anything. He looked at Master Bing. Yao Wang, Master Wen used to be our partner. We had a good time working together. Now that he's in trouble, we can't just leave him to die, can we? Zhao Qibing tried to smooth things over. Chapter 934. Chapter 933. Uninvited guest. How much? Jiang Wen asked quickly. 10 million. Yao Wang rarely asked for less than 10 million. Although this money was used to scam Jiang Wen, it wasn't used to cure his illness. Yao Wang was a black-hearted man. Even if he wanted to scam someone, he wouldn't do it cheap. Fine. Jiang Wen gritted his teeth. He wasn't rich, and most of his money was given to House and the Firewolves. But this time, the Firewolves gave him 20 million to start the underground arena. Taking out 10 million in one go made his heart ache. But for the sake of curing his illness, he'd rather spend it like crazy in the future. He had to spend this 10 million now. All right, I'll do it then. Yao Wang nodded and took out his silver needles. He pretended to poke them into Jiang Wen's body, but in reality he was secretly using his pure qi to seal the meridians around Jiang Wen's dog kidney. The dog kidney could only absorb nutrients, but it couldn't function as a normal kidney. From now on, Jiang Wen's kidney would live in his body like a parasite. Yao Wang didn't know if this would cause any side effects, but he didn't care. Now that Jiang Wen was cured, it wouldn't have anything to do with him if it happened again in the future. Who knew? He might even be able to collect a huge sum of money from him. Half an hour later, Yao Wang finished his work, sweating profusely. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and said weakly, It's done. But I've used too much pure qi, I need to rest. Jiang Wen felt that his kidney wasn't hurting anymore after Yao Wang's work. It was really effective. He was overjoyed. That's it. Thank you, Yao Wang. Thank you, Yao Wang. Waha! I've finally become a normal person with 2 kidneys. Yeah, congratulations, Master Wen. Zhao Qibing said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. In his heart, he was cursing the kid for being an idiot. Master Bing, I'll transfer the money to you when I get back. You won't doubt my reputation, right? Jiang Wen came in a hurry and didn't bring any money with him. He didn't use the phone transfer service. It doesn't matter. We are also long-term partners. I know your credibility. Zhao Qibing waved his hand. Just transfer it back to me when you get back. You've given me quite a lot of money in the past. No problem. Jiang Wen was thinking that he'd go back and try again to see if his kidney had recovered. If it really didn't hurt anymore, he'd transfer the money to Zhao Qibing. Now that his kidneys were healed, he remembered what Yao Wang said about Lin Yi. He asked curiously, Master Bing, what did Yao Wang say about Lin Yi? Is he out of true qi? You don't know. Zhao Qibing froze. He was the one who spread the news that Lin Yi's martial arts were crippled. Logically speaking, everyone who had a grudge against Lin Yi should have gotten the news. Why didn't Jiang Wen know? I've been peeing blood from kidney pain these past couple of days, and I'm not in the mood to care about other things, so I'm a little out of touch with the news. Jiang Wen smiled bitterly. I see. Master Bing nodded. He didn't hide anything and told Jiang Wen about what happened to Lin Yi and House Chu. He even told Jiang Wen about the Shao family, him, and House Yu going to Pingzhan for money. After all, it wasn't a secret. Jiang Wen only needed to ask around when he got back. Plus, Lin Yi was Jiang Wen's enemy. Telling Jiang Wen about this would make him happy and transfer the money to him as soon as possible. Oh, so you're saying that Pengzhan has nowhere to go? Jiang Wen asked, surprised. Of course. This time House Chu is done for. Zhao Qibing laughed. But I really didn't think that House Yu would join in the fun. They even took all of Pengzhan Industries' shares and made Meng Yao a concubine of House Yu. TSK, that kid from House Yu got lucky. Zhao Qibing didn't think there was anything wrong with House Yu's participation. He was going to take the real estate company anyway. House Yu might be the #1 noble house in the common world. But he didn't dare to disrespect Zhao Qibing. He was leaving Pengzhan Industries, and he was going to give the real estate company to Zhao Qibing. Oh! Jiang Wen frowned in his heart, but on the surface he looked regretful. Man, if the Firewolves supported me, I'd go and get a share. But my case just came out. It's not good for me to be in the limelight. I don't think there's a chance. Yeah, but you're really unlucky. The whole place was raided by the police. But it's good that you're fine. Where there's life, there's hope. Zhao Qibing, naturally, didn't know that Jiang Wen was thinking about other things. He thought that Jiang Wen was really sad. Forget it, I'll go first. I'll transfer the money to you when I get back, Jiang Wen said calmly. Take care, Master Wen. Zhao Qibing pretended to be warm as he said goodbye. Jiang Wen nodded and said goodbye to Zhao Qibing. He left the floating cloud bar. He had more important things to do. Jiang Wen wasn't an idiot. The reason why he was tricked by Pinliang was because he thought that the kidney belonged to him. He didn't suspect anything else at all. In fact, Jiang Wen was a very cunning person. Yao Wang, did you fix it for him? Zhao Qibing couldn't help but ask after Jiang Wen left. No. Yao Wang quickly took off his jacket. Just like last time, he used his pure energy to make himself sweat. In fact, the amount of pure energy he used on Jiang Wen wasn't even as much as the amount of pure energy he used to make himself look like he was sweating. Then you. Zhao Qibing paused. I just made his dog kidney lose its function and sealed some of his meridians. Other than absorbing nutrients like a parasite, he can't do anything else. Yao Wang explained. Huh. Zhao Qibing heard Yao Wang's explanation and was overjoyed. That's too mean, too mean. Ha, but I like it. That's right, working for Master Bing. How can you get rich without being mean? Yao Wang said respectfully. Master Bing, I'll go take a shower first. I can't take it anymore, it's so hot. Go, go, you really are my god of wealth. Ha ha ha. Zhao Qibing laughed happily. His luck was really good recently. Lin Yi was done for, and his business was getting bigger and bigger. Once Pengzhan and Lin Yi were done for, Songshan would be Zhao Qibing's world. After leaving the floating cloud bar, Jiang Wen drove to Pengzhan Industries. Jiang Wen was the 5th uninvited guest that came to Pengzhan Industries today. Chapter 935. Taking Advantage. Pengzhan didn't understand when he saw Jiang Wen walk in. Was he here to take advantage of the situation as well? Jiang Wen? What are you doing here? Pengzhan frowned. He didn't seem to have any conflict with Jiang Wen, and his daughter only rejected Jiang Wen's pursuit. Uncle Chu, I'm here to help you. Jiang Wen said humbly, maintaining the attitude of a junior in front of Pengzhan. He was walking a different path, not to force Pengzhan, but to take advantage of the situation. Help me? Help me with what? Pengzhan paused and asked. Uncle Chu, you must be in a lot of trouble right now, right? So many people are looking for you. Shao family, House Yu, and Zhao Qibing. You must be panicking right now, right? Jiang Wen smiled. Did you come here to make fun of me? Pengzhan was annoyed and didn't want to waste time with Jiang Wen. What do you want? Uncle Chu, don't be so distant. Don't you know who I am? I've been Yao Yao's childhood friend since we were young, and I love her so much that I came here to help when I heard you were in trouble. Jiang Wen said. How are you going to help me? Pengzhan asked patiently. Uncle Chu, the reason why things have turned out this way is because that kid Lin Yi is useless. He doesn't have any strength. and that's why your enemies came at the same time. Jiang Wen said, everyone kicks a man when he's down, and that's the logic of beating a dog when it's down. If Lin Yi hadn't lost his strength, would these people still be looking for trouble? Aren't you spouting nonsense? If Lin Yi was the same as before, why would they be looking for trouble? Pingzhan wasn't happy. Beating a dog when it's down? Are you saying that I'm a dog? But Pingzhan's temper was gone, and he didn't want to argue with Jiang Wen anymore. That's why, if you had a strong backer, wouldn't your problems be solved? Jiang Wen smiled. A powerful backer? Where's the big backer? Pingzhan humphed impatiently. I wouldn't need you to tell me if I had a backer. It's here. Jiang Wen patted his chest disappointedly. Uncle Chu, your big support is me. You? Pingzhan frowned. Yes, you still don't know my real background, do you? Jiang Wen introduced himself proudly. House and we're working for the Firewolf Gang now. You must have heard of the Firewolf Gang? Naturally. Chu Pingzhan had heard of the Firewolves before. They were the biggest gang in the north, but they were rather secretive. They controlled a lot of businesses in the dark, but they never did anything personally. They were the kind of gang that people wouldn't easily know about. But Pingzhan had heard that the Firewolves were very powerful, and many big houses had to give them face. Firewolf Gang? Can you get the Firewolves to help me? Pingzhan asked. Of course not. Jiang Wen shook his head awkwardly. Then what's the point of saying this? Pingzhan felt that Jiang Wen was up to no good at this time, so he didn't give him a good face. Jiang Wen laughed dryly. But we can borrow their power. If Yao marries me, then she'll be the daughter-in-law of the Firewolves. When I show up, I believe that the Shao family house you, and even Zhao Qibing will have to give me face and give up on you. Marry you? Pingzhan couldn't help but be amused. He finally understood what Jiang Wen was planning. So this was what he was planning, to take advantage of the situation. Yes, Jiang Wen said proudly. I'm not afraid to tell you, Uncle Chu, the Firewolves have sent another master to stay by my side, a physical practitioner at the peak of mid-phase of mystic class. House Zhao's Uncle Pai is only a mid-phase physical practitioner, and House Yuzubide is only a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner. Zhao Qibing Xiaowang is only a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner as well. Plus, he's an expert in medicine, so he's not even worth mentioning when it comes to actual combat. Pingzhan froze. He didn't expect Jiang Wen to have such a master by his side. No wonder he dared to talk terms with him. I didn't expect you to have such a powerful master by your side. Pingzhan nodded and said faintly, Yes, Uncle Chu, what do you think? As long as Yao marries me, I'll announce to the public that I, Jiang Wen, am your son-in-law. Then I'll get my mystic mid-phase physical practitioner to come out and intimidate the public. I think no one will dare disrespect me then. Jiang Wen laughed. But I'm afraid that even if I agree, Yao won't. Pingzhan, however, rejected Jiang Wen's suggestion. So, Jiang Wen, please leave. Wah. Jiang Wen froze. He didn't expect Pingzhan to reject his suggestion. When he first came here, he was full of confidence. As far as he knew, Pingzhan was at his wit's end. Other than accepting his suggestion, only death awaited him. But Pingzhan really rejected it. Jiang Wen panicked. Uncle Chu, what do you mean by this? Don't you want to protect Pingzhan Industries anymore? To me, Yao's happiness is more important than Pingzhan Industries. Pingzhan shook his head. Working with Jiang Wen was like asking a tiger for its skin, especially after knowing Jiang Wen's dark background. Pingzhan didn't want to work with him anymore. Plus, Yao wouldn't agree to marry Jiang Wen. What was the difference between that and marrying into House Yu? With Yao's personality, she would rather die than marry into House Yu. But even if Yao doesn't marry me, she still has to marry into House Yu. Jiang Wen said unwillingly, Could it be that Uncle Chu already has a plan? No. Pingzhan shook his head decisively, but Yao won't marry into House Yu. Jiang Wen heard Peng Zhan's words and calmed down. So Peng Zhan didn't have any other plan. So Peng Zhan's rejection must be because he was still hoping that Hao Xiu didn't push him too far. So Peng Zhan must think that he could negotiate with Hao Xiu again. Chapter 936. Chapter 935. Songs Han O. Peng Zhan replied faintly, his face expressionless. Actually, I do want to help House Chu, but I don't have any grudges with the Xiao family, Hao Xiu, or Master Bing. If I don't have a reason to stand up for them, then it'll be hard for me in the future. So I can only let Yao Yao marry me. No one can say anything about it. It'll be hard on Yao Yao, but the heavens and earth can see my feelings for Yao Yao, and I'll treat her well in the future. Jiang Wen continued after seeing no response from Peng Zhan. Oh, I understand, you can leave now. Peng Zhan nodded and sent Jiang Wen away. Jiang Wen's suggestion wasn't very tempting to Peng Zhan. If Meng Yao liked Jiang Wen, then Peng Zhan would be happy to see it happen. But the problem was that his daughter didn't like Jiang Wen at all. Marrying her to Jiang Wen was the same as harming her. All right, Uncle Chu, think about it and call me anytime. Jiang Wen nodded and left Peng Zhan's office without another word. He understood that no matter what he said, he wouldn't be able to change Peng Zhan's mind so quickly. But Jiang Wen firmly believed that Peng Zhan would call him the moment he couldn't take it anymore. After all, this was Peng Zhan's only choice. It seemed like he had to think of a way to get Hao Xiu to put more pressure on Peng Zhan, and that was the only way Peng Zhan would come to him when he had no other choice. See you out. Peng Zhan didn't like Jiang Wen taking advantage of others like this, but he couldn't say much about it. After all, Jiang Wen wasn't looking for trouble, and Peng Zhan was already very thankful. But what should he do now? Peng Zhan fell into deep thought, a little lost. Bad news came to Wan, Er's ears one after another. But she couldn't do anything about it at all. Although she was powerful and the palace master of the Dark Night Palace, the Dark Night Palace was controlled by the Great Elder. Without the Great Elder's permission, no one could go down the mountain without permission. Palace Master Wan sat uneasily in the pavilion. At this moment, she didn't have the heart to train. Her heart had already flown to Songshan City. If she could fly, she would definitely fly there. Palace Master, Elderly, is here again. Little Qing looked at the frowning Palace Master and felt very uncomfortable in her heart. However, she was only a little less. What right did she have to speak? Let him in. Didn't I say that Elderly can come in directly? Wan heard that Elderly had come again and quickly ordered Little Qing. On this day, she had already received several pieces of bad news. She had already asked Elderly to keep an eye on the movements in Songshan City. Who knew if there would be any new news? I hope it's good news. Yes, Little Qing replied somewhat helplessly. But I have already let Elderly directly come in. He was the one who asked me to inform the Palace Lord. Oh, then bring him in quickly. Palace Master Wan nodded. Greetings, Palace Master. Elderly walked in under Little Qing's lead and bowed to the Palace Master. Uncle Li, didn't I tell you to come in directly? Palace Master Wan asked urgently. How is it over there? Miss, the rules can't be broken. I can't let people get hold of me any more. Elderly smiled bitterly. If I give up this little bit of power in the Dark Shadow Group, then I really won't be able to help you at all. All right, I understand. Uncle Li, you're making me anxious. How are Peng Zhan and Yao Yao? Palace Master Wan smiled bitterly. It's still bad news. House, you went to find them too. Elderly sighed and shook his head. House you? Why did they go too? Palace Master Wan was shocked. How did Peng Zhan offend House you? It's not him. Young Master actually didn't offend House you. Elderly said, It's Yu Kuin from House you. He broke into Mrs. Villa at night and injured Mrs. Pet Dog, General Weiwu. Miss was furious and asked Lin Yi to kill Yu Kuin. But because of Li Fu, Lin Yi let Yu Kuan go. But Yu Kuan was now a cripple, and so House Yu used this as an excuse to take revenge on you. Why did House Yu break into Yao Yao's villa? What do they want? Palace Master Wan Er was really angry. It's just a common world, House Yu. How dare they touch my daughter? If Grand Elder agrees and recognizes Miss, then House Yu won't dare to touch her. Elderly smiled bitterly. Even the hidden house behind House Yu would have to think twice not to mention House Yu. Yeah. Palace Master Wan Er sighed. My poor daughter. House Yu went to Lin Yi because Lin Yi has a few pieces of the map of Sky Class Island. Elderly said, Him. He has pieces of the map? Palace Master Wan Er was surprised, but she shook her head. Let's not care about him. What did House Yu say? What do they want? House Yu proposed to let Miss marry them as a concubine and let young master's company be part of the dowry. Elderly sighed. What? Palace Master Wan Er stood up. Shocked and angry. How can they be so shameless? How dare they? If Miss came, they wouldn't dare. Even if I came, House Yu wouldn't dare. But I can't leave the mountain. Elderly said helplessly. The Dark Shadow Group is in charge of gathering information. There are no masters in it. No. I'll go beg Grand Elder. I can't let anything happen to him and Yao Yao. If something happens to them, what's the point of living? Palace Master Wan Er couldn't sit still anymore. If it was really like what Elderly said, then House Chu was finished. Her daughter's life was finished. She couldn't let her daughter's life become a tragedy. She definitely couldn't. Sigh. Elderly sighed. I'll go with Miss. Palace Master Wan Er and Elderly walked quickly to Grand Elder's training area. As soon as they entered, Palace Master Wan Er said seriously, Grand Elder, Wan Er wants to leave the mountain. Leave the mountain? Have you broken through Sky Class? Grand Elder asked faintly, not caring about Palace Master Wan Er's anxious expression at all. No. That's why Wan Er asked Grand Elder to let me leave the mountain. If Wan Er breaks through Sky Class, then I can leave the mountain whenever I want. Palace Master Wan Er said. Chapter 937. Begging and Rejecting. I beg of you. Grand Elder, I'm begging you, let me go. Wan Er didn't expect the Grand Elder to be so resolute. She couldn't help but kneel on the ground. Grand Elder, Wan Er's husband's family is in trouble. I can't just leave them be. Get up. You're the Palace Master of the Dark Palace. Kneeling just like that, what's wrong with that? The Grand Elder saw how weak Wan Er was and couldn't help but be furious. Why are you so different from your grandmother when she was young? If you want to leave, then show your strength. What can you achieve by crying? Kneeling in front of the enemy, do you think he'll let you go? But Grand Elder, you're not the enemy. Please let me go. I can't lose Pingzhan and Yao Yao. Wan Er was still kneeling on the ground, begging. I said no, so no. The Grand Elder smiled coldly. Don't even think about it. They're in trouble. It's better if they die, lest the Sky Elixir sect laugh at us if that bastard lives. Grand Elder, no matter what, Pingzhan is my husband and Yao Yao is my daughter. Wan Er couldn't help but cry. I can't just ignore them. Humph. Husband my ass, your husband is the second young master of the Sky Elixir sect. He's the one who gave the betrothal gifts. The Grand Elder said coldly, Look at that Pingzhan, he can't even handle a couple of clowns, he's a complete wimp. What's there to love about someone like that? Now do you see how correct and wise my eyes are? What's the use of a wimp like that? He should just die. Although the Dark Shadow Group was in the hands of Elderly, the other people in charge of the Dark Shadow Group were also people from the Supreme Elder's side. Therefore, the news from the Dark Shadow Group could be received by the Supreme Elder immediately. Wan Er's grandmother had entrusted the Dark Night Palace to the Great Elder before she passed away. She had devoted her entire life to making the Dark Night Palace flourish. But she had never expected that the Dark Night Palace which was connected by marriage with the heavenly elixir sect, would have such a scandal like one running away. Their relationship with the heavenly elixir sect became tense, and overnight, the Dark Knight Palace became the laughingstock of the martial arts world. The Great Elder was annoyed by Wan Er's disobedience. Although he was harsh and unreasonable to her, he never thought about replacing her as the palace master. He only wanted to help her break through to sky rank. From this, it could be seen that the Grand Elder was selfless. It was just that she placed the interests of the Palace of Darkness on a level that was even more important than her own life. As for the Palace of Darkness, there was no such organization as the Dark Shadow Group before. It was only after Wan Er ran away from the marriage that the Great Elder and Elderly formed the Dark Shadow Group to search for Wan Er. This was also the reason why the Palace of Darkness found Wanner after she got married and had a daughter in the mortal world. If the Great Elder doesn't agree, Wanner will kneel here forever. The Palace Master Wanner brought out the stubbornness she had when she ran away from the marriage. Oh, do whatever you want. Once you kneel until your lover and little bastard die, you'll get up naturally. The Grand Elder said nonchalantly, "Grand Elder, let me say something." Elderly spoke up. "Grand Elder, if something really happens to Pingzhan and Meng Yao, then I believe the palace master won't be in the mood to train anymore. It'll affect her training speed, and even affect the Sky rank meeting, our Palace of Darkness ranking. Once they die, she'll naturally stop. She hasn't made any progress after all these years. Isn't it because she still hasn't satisfied her lust?" The Grand Elder said coldly, I want to go down the mountain. Uncle Lee, you come with me." The Palace Master Wanner heard the Grand Elder's unwavering words and stood up suddenly. "Man." Elderly paused and sighed bitterly, feeling a bit helpless. "Miss, even if you want to go down the mountain, you should go back and plan with me first. Going down like this, is that even possible?" As expected, the Grand Elder looked at the Palace Master Wanner as if she was a joke. "Go down? Elderly, you're not going to be stupid with her, are you?" Elderly smiled bitterly. "I'll send the Palace Master back now. She's just a bit emotional. I'll talk to her." "No need." The Grand Elder waved his hand. "Men, capture the Palace Master and keep an eye on her until I say to let her out." "Yes." When the highest elder finished speaking, two women dressed in the same manner as Elderly walked over. One on the left and the other on the right, they held Wan "Palace Master, please excuse us." These two were the same as Elderly, elders of the Dark Palace, but their skills were on par with Wanner's. It was easy for the two of them to grab one. The Palace Master Wanner smiled bitterly and looked at Elderly. She fainted in grief. She knew that she couldn't leave, and she regretted her impulsiveness. But even if she didn't say anything, would she be able to go down the mountain? He was afraid that the Grand Elder would find out about it before he could even make it to the bottom. Elderly sighed. He felt that he had to do something. He knew the Miss personality very well. She looked weak, but she was actually very strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have suddenly run away from the wedding without any warning and caught everyone off guard. If something really happened to Pingzhan and Meng Yao, then the Miss wouldn't be able to live. A dog that barks doesn't bite, but a dog that bites knows how to bark. It was a crude phrase, but it made sense. The Miss was like that. "Elderly, I'll be leaving first," Elderly said and turned to leave. "Elderly, you've watched Wanner grow up. Go and accompany her, talk to her." The Grand Elder sighed. She was afraid that Wanner would do something extremely stupid and catch everyone off guard, so she asked Elderly to watch over her. On the other hand, the Grand Elder was also afraid that Elderly would make some private decisions and arrange things on his own. Okay. Elderly naturally understood the Grand Elder's meaning and nodded his head helplessly. From the looks of it, he couldn't do anything even if he wanted to. With the other two elders watching, Elderly really didn't have the chance to do anything. "Son-in-law, little miss, I hope you can safely get through this calamity." Lin Yi, I have high hopes for you. I have always treated your appearance as an opportunity for the Miss and Miss to meet. Although I haven't figured out your background yet, it doesn't stop me from having a premonition. Chapter 938. Chapter 937. Old Chu's attitude tonight was the day Lin left, but it was already very late. Pingzhan didn't go home, but sat in the chairman's office in Pingzhan's skyscraper. Smoking, Pingzhan didn't go to see Lin Yi off, because he didn't want to tell Lin Yi about what happened in the company and put the pressure on Lin Yi. This pressure should be shouldered by himself, not Lin Yi. Pingzhan wasn't a heavy smoker, but the cigarette butts in the ashtray on the desk had already piled up into a small hill. Some of the butts had even fallen onto the desk, and the ash was everywhere. But Pingzhan didn't have the mood to clean up the cigarette butts and ash. His mind was completely focused on Pingzhan Industries and Yao Yao's future. He could give up on Pingzhan Industries, but he couldn't give up on his beloved daughter. Pingzhan was a person who valued relationships, and he was the polar opposite of those who valued their career. Some people could sacrifice their children's happiness for their career, forcing them to marry someone they didn't like. But Pingzhan, for the sake of his children's happiness, was willing to give up on everyone. Pingzhan felt like he was going to die. If some things could be solved with death, then he would rather die. But not now, he couldn't die. Even if he died, he couldn't change Mingyao's fate. From Xiao family's words, he could hear some leeway, and Zhao Qibing's request was the most reasonable one. It wasn't an exorbitant demand, but it was still within an acceptable range for Pingzhan. But House Yu's request was a little overboard. Not only did they take away the company's shares, but they also wanted Yao to be a concubine of House Yu. If Meng Yao was willing to be someone else's concubine, then Pingzhan would let it go. But the situation now was that Yao couldn't marry into House Yu. Pingzhan knew his daughter's personality too well, and if she was forced, she would rather die. Looking at the time, Lin Yi should have left already, right? Pingzhan, in his helplessness, made his final decision. After hesitating for a while, he dialed his father's number. Pingzhan really didn't want his father to worry about him anymore. His father was retired, and he should be enjoying his life, but Pingzhan kept troubling him with company matters. This time, the Chu family had reached an extremely critical moment. If they didn't think of a solution, the Chu family might very well perish. If House Yu wanted Meng Yao to marry into their family, would Pingzhan have to put on a wedding dress for his daughter? Pingzhan, are you very distressed now? Old Master Chu picked up the phone and asked calmly, Father, you know what happened here? Pingzhan paused. I know a little. Although you are the chairman of the company, don't forget that I founded Pingzhan Industries. I have eyes and ears in the company, Old Master Chu said. Father, what should I do now? Pingzhan Industries is finished. The Xiao family, Zhao Qibing, and House Yu are all here. In an instant, it seems like all the forces have gathered in Songshan, and all of them are coming for me. Pingzhan heard that his father knew what happened here, and he opened his heart and poured out his heart. I'm really powerless. I don't know what to do. Pingzhan Industries, if they want it, just give it to them. You might know a little, but when I was young, I ran a company, but because of my lack of experience, it went bankrupt. Old Master Chu smiled and consoled. And Pingzhan Industries is my second business. When I founded Pingzhan Industries, I was already as old as you are now. So, even if I fail this time, there's still a chance in the future. Father, I can give up on Pingzhan Industries, but I can't give up on Yao Yao's happiness. I can't let her marry into House Yu. It'll ruin her life. Pingzhan smiled bitterly, and you know Yao Yao's temperament. She'd rather die than marry into House Yu. Why does she have to marry into House Yu? Old Master Chu smiled. Didn't I tell you to marry her to Lin Yi? Oh. Pingzhan froze and smiled bitterly. Lin Yi's martial arts are all crippled, and he's going back to his hometown to find a way to recover his strength. I've tried to persuade him to stay, wanting him to be my son-in-law, using Pingzhan Industries as a dowry for Yao Yao to marry him, but he rejected. Pingzhan, your thinking was wrong from the start. Pingzhan Industries is nothing to Lin Yi. So, you need to look further. Don't worry about the benefits in front of you. Old Master Chu said, Did you forget what I told you before? It's us, House Chu, who's trying to get on Lin Yi's good side. He's not trying to take our property. I didn't forget. I remember that. So I've always been kind to Lin Yi, treating him as one of our own. Pingzhan said humbly. Then, what's the problem in front of you? Old Master Chu smiled. Pingzhan didn't understand what his father meant. Keeping Lin Yi is more important than keeping the company. Old Master Chu said, You mean? Pingzhan paused, understanding his father's meaning, but he wasn't too sure. Isn't Lin Yi going back to his hometown to seek refuge? You can just take Yao Yao with him. Old Master Chu smiled. If Lin Yi doesn't want to stay, you'll send Yao Yao to him. But Lin Yi has a girlfriend. Plus, his girlfriend is going back with him. It's not a good idea for Yao Yao and me to follow him, right? Pingzhan felt like he was being a rascal. Who told you to follow him? Old Master Chu asked back. Don't tell him first. Wait for him to leave. Then you and Yao Yao will follow him. He can't kick you out when you arrive, can he? Is that so? Pingzhan said, but isn't that a little rascal? Besides, Lin Yi has a girlfriend. If Yao Yao goes like this, wouldn't she be the concubine? Although Pingzhan could accept Tang Yun because of his daughter, and he made it clear in his conversation with Lin Yi, that was based on a situation where Lin Yi married Meng Yao. That way, his daughter would be the leader. And as for Tang Yun, as long as his daughter didn't say anything, Pingzhan naturally wouldn't say anything. But now, following Lin Yi back, wouldn't that be weaker than Tang Yun? Then do you want Yao Yao to be a concubine for House Yu or a concubine for Lin Yi? Old Master Chu asked. Chapter 939. All good things must come to an end. But remember, you have to be discreet when you leave. And you have to leave before Shao family, House Yu, and Zhao Qibin find you. Once they find you, you won't be able to leave even if you want to. Old Chu reminded. I understand, father. Pingzhan nodded. Lil, he should have left already. I'll go pack up and follow him with Yao Yao tonight. House Chu's villa. Lin, he didn't have much luggage. Only a small bag with a few sets of clothes the miss gave him, as well as the Waniyankin box he got from the auction. And the 2 pieces of map that he didn't know what they were for these 2 days. Lin Yi tried his best to avoid seeing Meng Yao and Yushu. He wasn't a plant or a tree. He couldn't be emotionless. Lin Yi had feelings for the miss and Shu. Or rather, it was more or less the same as Tang Yun. After all, the daily interactions had made Lin Yi fall in love with these 2 girls. One was cold on the outside but warm on the inside, and the other was dumb on the outside but not dumb on the inside. But no matter if Lin Yi wanted to face it or not, the day of parting had finally come. In the living room, Meng Yao and Yushu watched Lin Yi pack up his luggage. They sat on the sofa, quietly a little sad. Yao Yao sis, is Shield Bro really leaving? Yushu's eyes reddened again. Her tone, this time, was different from usual. There wasn't the playful tone anymore. It was a little depressed. Yes, he's leaving. Meng Yao nodded. So it's true. This day has really come. Yushu sighed. Yeah, it's true. Meng Yao nodded again. Yao Yao sis, I want to go with him. Yushu said suddenly. What are you talking about? How can you go with him? Meng Yao shook her head with a smile. We're about to take the college entrance exam. Are we not going to take it? Aren't we going to school? Oh, Yushu nodded. Let's go. We'll go see if Lin Yi needs any help. Meng Yao stood up and walked towards Lin Yi's bedroom. Meng Yao used to hate this bedroom. Whenever Lin Yi was there, she would avoid it. She didn't know when it started, but this feeling had changed. She had gotten used to Lin Yi's existence, and this room was Lin Yi's. Meng Yao had already treated Lin Yi as a part of the villa, and was used to the happiness she felt when Lin Yi was around. Lin Yi, do you need our help? Meng Yao asked as she stood at the door, staring at Lin Yi's back. Ah, Lin Yi smiled. It's fine. I don't have much luggage. I only have the clothes you gave me. I'll take them with me. Meng Yao felt a lump in her throat. She wanted to cry. Lin Yi didn't forget to take the clothes she gave him. Meng Yao was touched. Will you think of me and Shu? Meng Yao asked. Of course. Lin Yi nodded. It'll be a beautiful memory. I'll cherish it for the rest of my life. Me. Me too. Meng Yao mustered up her courage and whispered. Me too. Yushu said. Shield bro, you can't forget me. I can't forget you even if I forget Yao Yao. Lin Yi smiled. Humph. The mist didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Lin Yi's words. All right, I'm leaving. Lin Yi said as he picked up his luggage from the bed, turned around and walked towards the door. However, the miss and Yushu stood at the door. They didn't move away from Lin Yi. All good things must come to an end, right? Lin Yi smiled. My duty is over. Don't be so unprepared when the new bodyguard comes. It's easy for me to go upstairs. Just be careful of him stealing the miss. You jerk. Meng Yao blushed. She glared at Lin Yi. She wanted to say, why don't you come up then? But she couldn't say it. This wasn't a joke. How could she laugh when Lin Yi was leaving? Haha, take care of yourself. General Weiwu can be trusted. It's very powerful. It can handle normal enemies. Lin Yi nodded to the Mississippi and Meng Yao knew that Lin Yi was telling the truth. She couldn't block the door and stop Lin Yi from leaving. She pulled Shu to the side, but her heart was sad. Lin Yi put on his backpack and walked out of his room, but paused for a second as he walked to the villa's entrance. He felt sad. This was the mission that he missed the most, but it was also the mission that he failed the most. Shield bro. Yushu called Lin Yi suddenly. N. Lin Yi turned around and looked at Yushu. What's wrong, Shu? Will you come back after you recover your strength? Back to the villa? Yushu asked. If I recover to a higher level than before, I will come back. Lin Yi nodded and said. But Lin Yi knew that it would be difficult. He said it to comfort Yushu. External martial arts were different from spiritual martial arts. Once external martial arts reached a certain level, there would be a bottleneck. This bottleneck was 100 times harder to break than the bottleneck of spiritual martial arts. If one wanted to practice external martial arts and reach a higher level than before, he would need to be at least mystic mid-phase. Yushu nodded. Then it's a deal. If you recover to a higher level than before, you have to stay in the villa forever with me and Yao Yao sis. It's a deal. Lin Yi nodded with a smile. I want a pinky promise. Yushu ran over and stuck out her pinky. Okay. Lin Yi helplessly made a pinky promise with Yushu and even stamped pinky promise for 100 years. Whoever changes will be General Weiwu. Yushu said. Lin Yi nodded. It was time for him to leave. Goodbye Songshan, goodbye Villa. Goodbye those people he was familiar with. Woof woof. General Weiwu seemed to feel the sad atmosphere and barked at Lin Yi. General Weiwu, protect Yao Yao and Shu. Lin Yi was very confident in this highly intelligent Golden Division dog. It had a high IQ and could probably understand his conversation with Yao Yao and Shu. Otherwise, it wouldn't have such a strong reaction when Lin Yi went out every day. Woof woof. General Weiwu quickly ran to Lin Yi and jumped into Lin Yi's arms. Chapter 940. Meridian Repair. A familiar energy flowed into Lin Yi's body rapidly. Just when the energy entered Lin Yi's body, Lin Yi's muscles contracted and his pores opened up, greedily absorbing the energy. Lin Yi's body was like a sponge that had lost its water. Once he entered the water, he started to absorb the energy crazily. This was his own energy. Lin Yi was too familiar with this feeling. At this moment, Lin Yi was like a drop of water falling into the embrace of the ocean. He couldn't help but moan in comfort. As the energy flowed into his body, Lin Yi's damaged meridians started to repair themselves rapidly. Lin Yi's eyes widened as he looked at General Weiwu with surprise and joy. General Weiwu seemed to be in pain, but it didn't run away. It was still lying in Lin Yi's arms. Sometimes one could walk all over the place, only to find it effortlessly, by chance. The energy in General Weiwu's body, wasn't it his own energy? Just when Lin Yi was troubled by the lack of energy in his body and couldn't repair his meridians, Lin Yi forgot that General Weiwu, strictly speaking, was his master's dog. General Weiwu's energy was his energy, so he could use it on himself without any problem. Don't disturb me. Lin Yi didn't have the time to explain to Meng Yao and Yushu anymore. He carried General Weiwu into his room and locked the door. Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, were confused by Lin Yi's sudden action. Yao Yao sis, what's wrong with Shield Bro? Yushu looked at the closed door and asked curiously. I don't know, Meng Yao shook her head. She was puzzled as well. What was Lin Yi doing? They were about to leave, but he suddenly carried General Weiwu into his room. What was he trying to do? Did Shield Bro see General Weiwu and can't bear to leave? Yao Yao, are you telling me that our relationship isn't as deep as General Weiwu and Shield Bro's? Yushu's tone suddenly turned bitter. Oh. Meng Yao didn't know how to answer because she really didn't know what Lin Yi was doing with General Weiwu, but why did he close the door? Did he want to do something to General Weiwu before he left? But that's not right. General Weiwu is a male. Yushu asked curiously. Oh? Is Shield Bro gay? Shu, what are you thinking? His thoughts are so complicated. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. The girl was getting more and more out of line. Do you want a beating? I don't. Yushu stuck her tongue out and shut her mouth. Since he doesn't want us to disturb him, then let's not disturb him. Meng Yao was panicking. General Weiwu was much stronger than before, and she knew that Lin Yi had lost all his martial arts, so he was no different from an ordinary person. Meng Yao was afraid that General Weiwu jumped on Lin Yi and used too much force when Lin Yi wasn't prepared, causing Lin Yi to be injured. That was why he couldn't wait to heal himself in his room. However, Meng Yao was afraid that she would be worried if she said it out loud. It was just a guess. What if it wasn't the truth? Lin Yi went back to his room and sat cross-legged on the bed. He closed his eyes and enjoyed the energy that came from General Weiwu's body to nourish his injured meridians. On Lin Yi's face, there was an expression of comfort and pain. At this moment, Lin Yi was in pain and happiness at the same time. Lin Yi, who had become an ordinary person, couldn't stand the surging energy from General Weiwu entering his body. However, when the energy entered his body and healed his meridians, Lin Yi felt extremely comfortable. Inside Lin Yi's body, the meridians were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Fu dash! Lin Yi took a deep breath. One of the main meridians in his body had healed itself under General Weiwu's energy. Lin Yi's face showed an expression of relief. It was time, it was finally time. He didn't have to hide anymore. Lin Yi wasn't completely clueless about the things that happened in Songshan these 2 days. How could Lin Yi not know that all the major forces were looking for trouble with Chu Pingzhan at the same time? Fatty Lai was also a businessman. How could he not know? He just didn't know the details of the conditions. But what could Lin Yi do even if he knew? Lin Yi was still helpless, other than finding a way to recover his strength. There was no other way. Of course, Lin Yi only thought that these forces were only after Chu Pingzhan's assets. Although he was depressed, he didn't say anything. After all, whatever they lost today, Lin Yi would definitely come back and make them pay with their own hands. Lin Yi just remembered that the energy he used to heal his meridians came from General Weiwu. Lin Yi was shocked. He opened his eyes and looked at General Weiwu, who was in his arms. He saw that General Weiwu's face was filled with pain. Its already ugly face was twitching. It was terrifying. This energy originally belonged to Lin Yi. Lin Yi naturally knew how much energy was needed to heal a meridian. Now that all of it came from General Wei Wu's body, could it withstand it? With that thought, Lin Yi subconsciously wanted to put General Wei Wu down. But something strange happened again. General Wei Wu seemed to be glued to Lin Yi's body and couldn't let go at all. The energy in its body was still pouring into Lin Yi's body. Lin Yi's face froze. What was going on? Lin Yi suddenly remembered that when he was treating Xiao Xiao, a similar situation happened. The energy in his body suddenly leaked out uncontrollably. With that in mind, Lin Yi had a pretty good idea of what was going on. If he didn't seal some of the acupuncture points in the recipient's body, the energy in his body would be sent to the recipient uncontrollably. Didn't something similar happen when he was treating General Wei Wu? In order to avoid wasting energy, Lin Yi had to seal some of Bojia's acupoints with silver needles before treating him. However, that was based on the fact that he was using the art of dragon mastery. Only then would the energy be transferred from his body to the recipient. But General Wei Wu didn't know the art of dragon mastery. So how did he control the energy in his body? Could it be that it was only because it was a tall dog that he had modified, so it resonated with his body, resulting in this effect? Chapter 941. Dog of the same Master General Wei Wu in front of him seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. In the end, he couldn't even open his eyes. However, there was nothing he could do. He could only watch as the energy from General Wei Wu's body flowed into his body and continued to repair his damaged meridians. As time passed, Lin Yi could clearly feel that the energy inside General Wei Wu's body was getting weaker and weaker. The energy that flowed into his body wasn't as strong as before. He wasn't sure if it was because the repair of his meridians increased his endurance or General Wei Wu was really dying. General Wei Wu, I hope you can hold on. Thank you for helping me get through this. Once I recover my strength, I will help you recover your strength too. The energy was getting weaker and weaker. Finally, there wasn't a single drop left. General Wei Wu separated from Lin Yi's body and collapsed on Lin Yi's bed. He didn't know if he was dead or alive. Phew! Lin Yi could clearly feel the energy in his body. He really recovered, although the meridians in his body weren't completely healed, and even if they were healed, the energy stored in them was still very weak. But Lin Yi knew that he wasn't far from recovering his strength. This feeling was really comfortable. Lin Yi took a deep breath and hugged General Wei Wu. He placed it in his arms and entered the space of the jade pendant. This way, once Lin Yi's meridians were all repaired, there would be extra energy. Then, when Lin Yi activated the art of dragon mastery, the energy would be continuously transferred to General Wei Wu's body. This way, he could ensure that General Wei Wu could be healed in the shortest time possible. Lin Yi was afraid that he wouldn't be able to heal General Wei Wu in time after he fully recovered his strength. The advantage of this was that he could provide energy to General Wei Wu first. After General Wei Wu recovered his strength, he could recover his own strength. Jiao Lao, my meridians are repaired. As soon as Lin Yi entered the space of the jade pendant, he couldn't wait to enter the cultivation state and activate the art of dragon mastery. Jiao Yazi glanced at Lin Yi, but he didn't want to disturb him. It wouldn't be too late to talk about it after he finished cultivating. The energy in the space of the jade pendant was instantly mobilized by Lin Yi and surged madly into Lin Yi's body. However, the energy in the jade space was more than 100 times stronger than the energy that came from General Wei Wu. Fortunately, Lin Yi's meridians were almost fully repaired. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to withstand such a terrifying surge of energy. A strange flush appeared on Lin Yi's face. This was a sign that his body was gradually recovering. Lin Yi could feel that all the injuries in his body seemed to have started the self-healing process at the same time. This was many times faster than using General Wei Wu's energy to repair his meridians one by one. The energy in the space of the jade pendant seemed to be endless and inexhaustible. Lin Yi was like a person who just came back from the desert and desperately needed water. He greedily absorbed the energy in the space for his own use. As the endless energy surged into his body, Lin Yi's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened and joy appeared on his rosy cheeks. It was really repaired. Lin Yi could feel that all the injuries in his body were healed. His meridians could once again store energy, like before. After the joy, Lin Yi didn't stop. He closed his eyes again and continued to use the art of dragon mastery. The energy in the space of the jade pendant continued to flow into Lin Yi's body. However, because Lin Yi's body was hugging General Weiwu who was about to die and Lin Yi was using the art of dragon mastery, the energy that flowed into Lin Yi's body didn't stay in Lin Yi's body. Instead, it stopped after the meridians were repaired and used Lin Yi's body as a medium. The energy was sucked into Lin Yi's body from the space of the jade pendant. After completing the conversion process, it flowed into General Weiwu's body. Therefore, Lin Yi could finally take a break from his busy schedule. The energy wasn't absorbed by Lin Yi, so Lin Yi could open his eyes and speak. Phew! Lin Yi let out a long breath. Ever since he was injured, he had never felt so good. Seeing that Lin Yi opened his eyes again, Zhao Yazi looked at Lin Yi strangely. Little Lin Yi, why didn't you continue your cultivation? No. You're still absorbing energy. No. But all the energy that I absorbed is given to General Weiwu first. It's just beside me. Lin Yi felt refreshed, and his body was filled with the passion of battle. I didn't expect you to recover your strength in this situation. I was careless and forgot that you have a dog from the same sect. Zhao Yazi exclaimed. If I remembered it earlier, your meridians wouldn't have been repaired until now. Oh, yeah, Zhao Lao. I want to ask, why can I use the energy in General Weiwu's body? Lin Yi asked curiously. But the energy in my body can only be released after I use the art of dragon mastery. That's because you're different from that dog. Its strength comes entirely from you, not from itself. Zhao Yazi seemed to know that Lin Yi would ask this question. He laughed and said, So it can only be called a yellow class inner chi master dog. Yellow class inner chi master dog? Lin Yi repeated this nondescript name and looked at Zhao Yazi confusedly. What does that mean? It's simple. It's the same as other golden class inner chi masters. It has the strength of a golden class inner chi master, but it doesn't know how to cultivate. It can't absorb energy by itself, and it can't level up by itself. To put it bluntly, it's a master that you created. It will be the same as you created it in the future. Zhao Yazi explained. As for why the energy in its body suddenly surged back into your body, that's even simpler. Because it was created by you. All the energy in its body comes from you. It's like you're placing your energy in its body. When you don't need it, it can borrow your energy to become a golden class dog. But when you need it, you can take it back at will. Chapter 942. Lin Yi was shocked. This was a passive skill. When he used it, both he and General Weiwu would be in a passive state and couldn't be controlled. But isn't the energy in my body omnipotent? If my opponent is injured, will he absorb the energy in General Weiwu's body? Lin Yi suddenly thought of a scary possibility and asked, if this skill was passive, then when others needed energy, would today's scene also happen? No. Zhao Yazi said something in English. Why not? Lin Yi didn't understand. The art of dragon mastery is actually an omnipotent chant for energy conversion. You can use this chant to absorb the energy in nature and the space in the jade pendant into your body and convert it into the form of pure energy that you need and store it in your body. Zhao Yazi explained, other people's kung fu is different from yours, so the type of pure energy they need is different too. The energy in your body is called omnipotent because you can use the art of dragon mastery to convert it into any type of energy you need. That's why you can save injured people. But General Weiwu doesn't know the art of dragon mastery. The energy in its body will always be your own energy. Other than you, no one else can use it because it can't convert it. I see. Lin Yi suddenly understood the logic behind it. No wonder General Weiwu's energy didn't need to use the art of dragon mastery to convert it. It was because it was its own energy. General Weiwu didn't cultivate pure energy before, so whatever Lin Yi lost to it was what it was. But it was different for others. Lin Yi's pure energy couldn't be used without the art of dragon mastery. Luckily you held back, or else we'd be in trouble this time. Jiao Yazi sighed, but everything has its own destiny. It's good that you can get through this successfully. Hee. But with General Weiwu, I have another trump card to protect my life. It seems like I can still use the true energy bomb. Lin Yi smiled coldly. With this trump card, he could fight against opponents who were a few levels higher than him. But it's better if you don't use it if you can. Jiao Yazi shook his head. Huh. Lin Yi was startled as if he was splashed with cold water. First, if it doesn't explode properly and explode into your heart or brain, you won't have to wait for the dog to get energy. You'll die immediately. Jiao Yazi said. HM. Lin Yi nodded with a bitter smile. It was true that this chi bomb was very dangerous. It was the type of bomb that harmed others without benefiting himself. It was basically a sure kill attack that would take the enemy down with itself. Second, if you can't kill your opponent in one blow, he'll kill you. Jiao Yazi said, so I advise you to increase your strength through cultivation. Don't use such unorthodox methods unless you have no other choice. I understand. Lin Yi nodded. You're right. Only by increasing your strength is true strength. It's fine to use these methods when you have no other choice. But if you keep using them, you'll be harming yourself and others. Hee, it's good that you've thought it through. Jiao Yazi smiled and nodded. General Weiwu, who was beside Lin Yi, was rapidly absorbing the energy from Lin Yi's body. It snuggled comfortably next to Lin Yi, enjoying the nourishment of the energy. Before this, General Weiwu's heart almost exploded from fear. It was just reluctant to leave Lin Yi and wanted to be close to Lin Yi for the last time. However, it didn't expect that once it touched Lin Yi's body, the energy in General Weiwu's body was uncontrollably absorbed by Lin Yi. Although General Weiwu didn't know what was going on, it was instinctively afraid. Previously, it obtained an unknown energy from Lin Yi which made it extremely strong. It could kill a person with one kick. Now that the energy returned to Lin Yi's body, how could it not be afraid? However, General Weiwu didn't think of struggling to escape. Although it was afraid, when it saw Lin Yi's inexplicably comfortable expression, it knew that what happened now was probably beneficial to Lin Yi. General Weiwu was a loyal dog. Its life was saved by Lin Yi, and its strength was given by Lin Yi. Therefore, if Lin Yi wanted to take it back, he could take it back any time. General Weiwu was afraid, but it didn't complain. Therefore, General Weiwu persisted until the last bit of energy entered Lin Yi's body before it fainted. It didn't know if it could survive, but if Lin Yi could recover, he could protect Yao Yao and Shu. After some time, General Weiwu woke up again. What surprised it was that the familiar energy that could increase its strength was continuously flowing into its body from Lin Yi's body. This was similar to the first time he received the energy, but this time, Lin Yi was lying down as if he was in a deep sleep. General Weiwu subconsciously thought that it absorbed the energy that entered Lin Yi's body. It wanted to jump away, but it realized that it couldn't. Its body seemed to be glued to Lin Yi's body. General Weiwu was shocked, but when it saw that Lin Yi's face was rosy and there was nothing wrong with him, it laid down quietly and accepted the energy that came from Lin Yi's body. After some time, General Weiwu started to feel uncomfortable because it could clearly feel that the energy in its body was almost full. But the energy that came from Lin Yi's body was still flowing into its body. Boom! General Weiwu was furious. It felt like it was going to explode from Lin Yi's energy The next moment, it fainted beside Lin Yi, not knowing what was going on anymore. This time, Lin Yi, who was in the jade space, was shocked. He didn't know how much energy General Weiwu needed to recover, so he kept sending energy to it. As long as it could receive the energy, he would pour it in. In the end, he didn't control the amount and caused General Weiwu to explode. Chapter 943. Run together because General Weiwu leveled up. General Weiwu, who was a golden class early phase dog, leveled up several times. It became a golden class late phase peak dog. Lin Yi's eyes widened in shock. Seriously? Just because he lost all his strength, he became a golden class late phase peak dog when he infused his energy into General Weiwu's body again. It was even stronger than Ling Shan. Are you kidding me? I can just casually create a dog with the strength of the peak of the golden class. How can those masters of the golden class endure this? However, Lin Yi didn't have time to think about it. He entered the training space once he knew that General Weiwu was fine. He couldn't wait to recover his strength. Plus, General Weiwu could level up after going through the process. But what about Lin Yi? It seemed like every time he leveled up, he would be injured or his energy would be sucked dry. Once all the energy entered his body, he would be able to break through the bottleneck of the next level. Lin Yi had never heard of this method of leveling up, but it was effective for him and General Weiwu. Lin Yi entered the jade space and activated the art of dragon mastery again. The energy entered Lin Yi's body again, but this time it was all for Lin Yi's own use. Lin Yi could even feel the feeling of fullness when the energy filled up his meridians. It was extremely comfortable. When Pingzhan returned to the villa, he saw Meng Yao and Yu Shu sitting on the sofa in the living room, spacing out. They weren't watching TV, nor were they doing anything else. They were just spacing out. Meng Yao, Shu. Pingzhan walked in. Did Lin Yi leave already? Pingzhan thought that Lin Yi had left the villa, and his daughter and Shu were a little sad. They were spacing out on the sofa. Daddy, you're back. Meng Yao snapped out of her daze and looked up at Pingzhan. And Daddy's back. Pingzhan's heart ached as he looked at his tired daughter. He hadn't been able to give her a happy life. Although Meng Yao didn't lack anything in terms of material goods, he still owed her too much in terms of kinship. The child had lost her mother since she was young, and Pingzhan had been busy with his career, so he didn't have time to take care of her. In the blink of an eye, she was already so big. Pingzhan never really understood what his daughter's life was like. And so this time Pingzhan had made up his mind. No matter what, he would help his daughter find her own happiness. He would accompany his daughter to escape with Lin Yi. Daddy, Lin Yi didn't leave. He's in his room. Meng Yao didn't know how to explain, as she didn't know why Lin Yi didn't leave and went back to his room all of a sudden. Oh, little Yi didn't leave? Doesn't he have a train at 6 tonight? It's already 7. If he didn't leave, he wouldn't be able to catch the train. Pingzhan paused as he looked at his watch. I don't know, this is what happened. Meng Yao told her father about the weird things that happened before Lin Yi left. Yeah, it's weird. Shield Bro and General Weiwu have been in the room for more than 4 hours, and they still haven't come out. I wonder what they're doing. Yu Shu added. Oh, what's little Yi doing? Could it be that his injuries are acting up? Pingzhan frowned. Otherwise, with Lin Yi's personality, normal things wouldn't affect his schedule. Yeah, I'm worried too. Meng Yao nodded, her face showing an anxious expression. General Weiwu is very strong, but Lin Yi is a normal person now. I'm afraid that General Weiwu will kick Lin Yi hard like before. It might injure Lin Yi badly. I see. Pingzhan's face turned serious after hearing Meng Yao's analysis. If that was the case, then it was hard to say. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi suddenly change his mind and run into the room in a hurry before leaving? Will Shield Bro be in danger? Yu Shu panicked after hearing Meng Yao's words. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any danger Otherwise Lin Yi would definitely tell us to do something. Meng Yao shook her head. He only told us not to disturb him. Maybe he can heal himself. Then it seems like we can only wait for him here. Pingzhan sighed. That's great. When little Yi wakes up, we can leave together. Leave together? Meng Yao was slightly taken aback as she looked at her father, not understanding. Yeah, Daddy has decided to bring you and little Yi back to his old home to seek refuge. Pingzhan smiled. Return to his old home to seek refuge? Meng Yao was taken aback as she repeated, We're going back to? What about your company? You don't want it anymore? I don't want to go to school anymore. Yao Yao, Daddy has already made up his mind, so I won't hide it from you anymore. Pingzhan smiled bitterly. These few days, Daddy hasn't been having a good time either. Little Yi is injured, and after Daddy's enemies found out about it, they've come looking for me. Ah. Meng Yao was shocked. They got the news so quickly? What do they want from you? The first wave is from Yanjing's Shao family. They're using the fact that you humiliated Shao family's daughter-in-law, Go Huli, to ask me to give them 200 million as compensation, along with Pengzhan Commercial Building and Pengzhan Hotel. Pengzhan smiled bitterly. He was going to leave anyway, and the company was about to be abandoned. There was no harm in telling Yao Yao. Go Huli, I understand. Is it because of me? Meng Yao's face was filled with guilt after hearing her father's words. Daddy, it's all my fault. Ha, it's not your fault. Shao family is considered to be down and out among the noble houses, but a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. They wanted to come to Songshan and look for trouble. What happened to you was just an excuse. Why would Daddy blame you? Besides, little Yi said that it's not our fault. Pingzhan smiled, not caring at all. Chapter 944. Taylor made Meng Yao knew that it wasn't her and Shu's fault. This was just an excuse to make things difficult for the Shao family. Without this excuse, perhaps the Shao family could find other excuses. The second wave of people was Zhao Qibing's men. Pingzhan smiled bitterly. My grudge with Zhao Qibing has been going on for a long time. He sent people to kidnap you many times, and even tried to kill you and Shu at the theme park. Little Yi suppressed him. But now that little Yi is in trouble, he'll naturally retaliate. But his appetite isn't that big, and he only asked for the real estate company under Pengzhan Industries. Meng Yao nodded. How come she didn't know about Zhao Qibing? This person had a huge grudge with her family with Lin Yi. She wouldn't believe it if he didn't come looking for her now. The third wave of people was from Yanjing's House Yu. Pengzhan continued. House Yu? Who are they? Meng Yao felt that the name was familiar, but she didn't know where she heard of this family. House, you once broke into your villa and injured General Wei Wu. Have you forgotten? Pengzhan reminded. At that time, you were agitated and asked little Yi to kill the murderer, but little Yi showed mercy and let him live. Ah! Then why didn't he thank Lin Yi? Why did he come looking for trouble? Meng Yao was reminded of Yu Kuan when her father reminded her. Yu Kuan's arrogant expression was still vivid in her mind. Thinking about it made Meng Yao feel uncomfortable. What's the point of reasoning with them? Pengzhan sighed and shook his head. House Yu's conditions are even more ridiculous this time. Not only do they want you to marry into House Yu's family, but they also want Yu Kuan, who was injured by little Yi as a concubine, and all of Pengzhan Industries' shares as dowry. Why? Meng Yao stood up angrily. I'm not marrying into their family. Yeah, that's why we can't fight them, but we can hide from them. Pengzhan smiled. That's why I'm going to escape with you and little Yi. Meng Yao's heart skipped a beat when she heard her father's decision. Meng Yao couldn't help but curse inwardly. Her family was being pressured to this extent. What was there for her to be happy about? They were going to flee for their lives. But Meng Yao was still a little happy. How can they be so arrogant? Daddy, can't we call the police? Rationally, Meng Yao told herself that she couldn't leave. After all, Pingzhan Industries was her father's blood, sweat, and tears. How could she just give it up like that? These noble houses, many of their ways of doing things are outside of the laws. It's useless, even if we call the police. They're only planning a crime. They haven't actually carried it out. Pingzhan smiled bitterly. Plus, they might kill us to vent their anger if we anger them. And they might even use some illegal methods to rob us of our assets. Ah, Meng Yao was startled. She didn't know how powerful these noble houses were, but from her father's words, she could roughly understand that even if these noble houses really did do something to her, they wouldn't be in any trouble. At most, they would have a scapegoat to take the blame. So, we can only flee for our lives. We'll have to give our assets to them eventually, but are you going to marry into House Yu? Pingzhan asked. I don't want to. Meng Yao shook her head. How could she marry into House Yu? That's right, so we'll wait for Lin Yi to come out, and then we'll leave Songs Han together. We don't want anything here. Pingzhan was a man who did big things. He left decisively, not even touching the company's money. He didn't want to alert his enemies, and they wouldn't be able to escape. This way, no one would think that Pingzhan would leave Songs Han with Meng Yao without taking a single cent with him. All right, Meng Yao nodded, pleased with herself. Oh, bring me, I want to go too. Yushu didn't want to do it. Yao was leaving with Shield Bro. What was the point of her staying here alone? Okay, I'll bring you. Meng Yao didn't want to be separated from Shu, so she nodded and agreed. Pingzhan looked at Yushu, wanting to say something, but didn't say anything in the end. It was her own choice, and he couldn't interfere. Thinking of his father's words, Pingzhan understood. It was House Chu who'd climbed up to Lin Yi, not Lin Yi who'd climbed up to House Chu. Jiang Wen waited for a whole day and didn't get any calls from Pingzhan. He couldn't help but start panicking, cursing in his heart. What were Pingzhan's enemies doing? Hurry up and continue pressuring Pingzhan. If you don't pressure him and he doesn't get nervous, how can he ask for my help? Jiang Wen couldn't take it anymore, so he secretly sent a message to House Yu's Shueishing, saying that Pingzhan was escaping and was secretly moving his assets. He asked him to go check it out. The reason why he didn't send the message to Xiao family and Zhao Qibing was because they only asked for money and assets from Pingzhan. They hadn't touched Pingzhan's bottom line yet. Pingzhan would only think of resisting if someone wanted to touch Meng Yao. This was just a random excuse Jiang Wen came up with, and the goal was for House Yu to pressure Pingzhan. But Jiang Wen didn't think that he'd be able to hit the nail on the head with his random words. Although Pingzhan didn't move his assets, he was really planning to escape. In this critical period, House Yu would rather believe it than not. They were afraid that Pingzhan would run away with the assets, and it would be troublesome to find him. This was a big country, and he might even escape to a foreign country, making it even harder to find him. And so, House Yu decided to go to Pingzhan first thing in the morning. If Pingzhan didn't agree, they'd just rob him. Under the situation where House Chu didn't have any masters, wouldn't they be at their mercy? They'd just make him sign a share transfer agreement and bring Meng Yao back to Yanjing's House Yu, and this trip would be worth it. What made House Yu feel regretful was that the power behind Lin Yi didn't show up these 2 days. Could it be that Lin Yi didn't have any power behind him, and everything was just House Yu's guess? But this was even better. House Yu could deal with House Chu with even more impunity. After dealing with House Chu, Lin Yi's death was the only thing that awaited him. Lin Yi was just a normal person, and killing him would be a piece of cake. With that thought, Yu Bide couldn't wait to kill Lin Yi to avenge his son. Chapter 945. He must stay. Third uncle, why don't the hidden power behind Lin Yi come out when House Chu's in this state? Are they giving up on Pingzhan? Yu Haitian asked Yu Bide, confused. This, I'm not too sure. My analysis is that Lin Yi doesn't have any background at all. So I suggest that we go to Pingzhan's house later and kill Lin Yi. Yu Bide hated Lin Yi to the bone. He came here to avenge his son, but for the benefit of the house, he didn't dare to do it directly. But now, Pingzhan was forced into a corner, and the power behind Lin Yi hadn't come out yet. This proved that Lin Yi didn't have any power behind him. Killing Lin Yi is naturally good, but Lin Yi and Guan Xuemin's relationship seems to be quite good. If we kill Lin Yi, it means we're not giving Guan Xuemin face. That's not good, is it? After all, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company is in the limelight, and they've released many miraculous medicines. They'll be the target of the noble houses in the future. Yu Haitian analyzed. It doesn't matter how we step on House Chu, but when it comes to Lin Yi, it's better to be careful. Humph. So what if he's close to Guan Xuemin? Guan Xuemin didn't stand out to protect him. We can completely ignore this relationship. Yu Bide smiled coldly. When the time comes, we'll kill him. Guan Xuemin won't be able to say anything. He won't cause trouble for House Yu, will he? I think it's better to discuss this with second uncle. Yu Haitian said carefully. All right, I'll call second brother now and ask for his opinion. Yu Bide nodded. He could ignore Yu Haitian's suggestion, but he had to listen to his second brother's suggestion. His second brother was very rational, and he considered things from a comprehensive perspective. Yu Bide dialed Shuixing's number and told him what had happened, telling him that he was going to House Chu tomorrow morning to kill Lin Yi while he was at it. No. Shuixing shook his head after hearing Bide's words. Third brother, we shouldn't make a move against Lin Yi right now. Why? Yu Bide was stunned and asked. If there is a force behind Lin Yi, why haven't they jumped out yet? Bide, you haven't thought things through thoroughly enough. Shuixing said, it looks like Lin Yi has an unusual relationship with the Chu family on the surface, but that's just a personal relationship between Lin Yi and the Chu family. It doesn't mean that the power behind Lin Yi will help the Chu family. If Lin Yi only came out to gain experience, then he should be going back soon, and the Chu family might have been abandoned. Oh, Yu Bide paused. That makes sense. I was too reckless. Man, this Lin Yi, it's annoying just looking at him. There's no rush. If Lin Yi really doesn't have any power behind him, then he'll become a ghost under your hand sooner or later. But if he does, then we'll let him be for now. We'll make a decision after we investigate his background, Shuixing said. All right, I'll stomp House Chu to death first. Yu Bide said hatefully, putting all his anger on House Chu. Since he couldn't kill Lin Yi, then House Chu would be his punching bag. And that dog that caused his son's death, he'd kill it too. House Chu's villa. Chu Pingzhan looked at the clock in the living room anxiously. It was already 5 a.m, and there was still no news from Lin Yi's room. He couldn't help but panic. Today was the deadline that Xiao family, Zhao Qibing and House Yu gave him. If Lin Yi didn't leave by this deadline, then he wouldn't be able to leave. House Xiao and House Yu were still manageable. But if House Yu came, Mengyao wouldn't be able to leave, would she? Daddy, what's wrong? Why do you look so anxious? Mengyao asked curiously as she looked at Pingzhan, who kept looking at the time. Today is the day that Xiao family, House Yu, and Zhao Qibing agreed to meet. I'm afraid that they'll come after daybreak, and then we won't be able to leave. Pingzhan sighed, but he didn't hide it. At a time like this, he had to let Mengyao be mentally prepared. Yao Yao, why don't you leave with Shu first? I'll stay here and Lily can guard here? Pingzhan said helplessly. Could it be that this was fate? Lil Yi was fine before, but something happened just before he left. However, Pingzhan didn't hate Lin Yi. He knew very well what would happen if he let his daughter leave first. House, you might vent their anger on him and kill him directly. But how could Pingzhan watch his daughter be taken away by House Yu? If his daughter was taken to House Yu as a concubine, she might commit suicide because of the humiliation. If his daughter died, how could he live alone? How would he have the face to see Wan again? Was he a qualified father if he couldn't even protect his own daughter? So, Pingzhan would rather sacrifice himself than let anything happen to his daughter. No, I'm not leaving. Meng Yao shook her head. Yao Yao, listen to me. Don't be stubborn. If you don't leave, House Yu will take you away, forcefully. Daddy won't be able to do anything then. Pingzhan frowned and said seriously, if Lil Yi sees this, he won't be able to do anything about it. But do you know what will happen if he stands out forcefully? You'll be harming Lily. No. Meng Yao shook her head. Daddy, you're right. But think about it. If House Yu comes and they don't see me, who else will they vent their anger on other than you? You know. Although I ordered Yu Kuan to be killed, the one who did it was Lin Yi. If House Yu doesn't see me, will they let you and Lin Yi go so easily? Pingzhan had been thinking about himself and wanted to end this grudge with his own death. But after hearing his daughter's words, he suddenly remembered that Lin Yi was the one who injured Yu Kuan. If that was the case, House Yu wouldn't be able to see Yao Yao and they wouldn't let Lin Yi go. Chapter 946. Give me 10 billion. Okay. Pingzhan nodded in agreement after seeing his daughter's determination. He understood his daughter's personality. She wouldn't change her mind once she made up her mind. But Shu, she's innocent. Shu, why don't you go back to your villa? No, if Yao Yao sis and Shield Bro die, then there's no point in me living. Yushu shook her head. All right, you stay here then. Pingzhan thought that even if Yushu stayed here, House Yu wouldn't dare to touch her. Yushu was from House Qin. Although House Chen had fallen, with Elder Qin retiring and Qin Yutian not doing much, House Qin was still an old noble house with influence in the military. As long as House Yu didn't want to fall out with them, they wouldn't dare to offend House Qin at this time. Time passed, and it was 6:30 in the morning. There was still no news from Lin Yi's room. Pingzhan couldn't take it anymore. He walked over and wanted to knock on the door, but he hesitated and put his ear on Lin Yi's door, trying to listen for any movement inside. But, to Pingzhan's disappointment, there was no movement from Lin Yi's room. Was Lin Yi healing himself? Pingzhan didn't know, but he was sure that Lin Yi had something he hadn't finished yet, and it was something extremely important. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed in his room for so long, not only not coming out, but also without any news. It seemed that Lin Yi didn't have the time to explain. He rushed into the room, and the only thing he left was, "Don't disturb him." So, Pingzhan hesitated and didn't knock on the door. He returned to the sofa and sat down, waiting for Lin Yi to come out on his own. But something unexpected happened. Bang! The door of the villa was kicked open by a huge force. Pingzhan, Meng Yao, and Yushu, who were sitting on the sofa, jumped in fright. Pingzhan's heart tightened. What was supposed to happen had finally happened. He didn't know who came first, but it had to be Xiao family, Zhao Qibing or House Yu. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so arrogant as to barge in without even knocking. Pingzhan had been prepared for this to happen, but he still felt that it was a little too early. It wasn't even 7 in the morning, and the enemy was already so impatient. What a bunch of greedy and impatient people. Pingzhan, you've got guts, haven't you? I heard that you wanted to escape with your daughter. You really didn't go to the company and hid at your daughter's place. Yu Haitian sneered and said sarcastically, however, can the Monkey King escape from Buddha's 5-finger mountain? Yu Haitian and Yu Bide went to Pingzhan's place first. Their hearts skipped a beat when they realized that Pingzhan wasn't there. Did he really escape? They rushed to Meng Yao's place and saw that Pingzhan's car was parked in front of the villa. Haitian and Yu Bide were even more certain that Pingzhan was planning to escape with his daughter. Otherwise, why would he come to Meng Yao's place instead of waiting for them at the company in the morning? Pingzhan's heart sank when he heard Haitian's voice. He didn't expect that the first to come would be the most troublesome House Yu. If it were Xiao family or Zhao Qibing's men, it would be easy to deal with them. As long as he gave them the property they wanted, there wouldn't be a problem. But House Yu didn't just want the property. They also wanted their daughter. If I wanted to escape, would I be sitting here waiting for you? Although Pengjan was panicking, he forced himself to be calm. If you wanted to leave, wouldn't you have left a long time ago? Cut the bullshit. What do you think of my condition? Ubaid interrupted Pengjan and asked directly. I can give all the shares to House You for free, but I hope that House You can let my daughter go. Pengjan knew that he couldn't leave, so he made his last struggle. Let her go? What a joke! Ubaid humphed coldly. When your daughter let that bastard Lin kill my son, why didn't she think of letting him go? Didn't Lil open one side of the net to save your son's life? Pengjan said, neither servile nor overbearing. Yeah, because my son didn't die, I let your daughter serve him as a concubine. I let her go too. Otherwise, I would have killed your daughter and let her marry my son. Ubaid glared at Pengjan and said angrily, Mr. Yu, speaking of this, it was your son who barged into my daughter's villa without permission. Pengjan argued. This was the last moment, and he knew that reasoning with House Yu wouldn't work, but he had to fight for it. If House Yu really took Meng Yao away, then House Chu would be finished. What? You're saying that House Yu is at fault? You're saying that my son asked for it? Is that what you're saying? Do you dare to say that again? Ubaid's face instantly revealed a sinister expression. I didn't say that. I just hope that you can let my daughter go, Mr. Yu. Meng Yao sighed and said, If you're willing to let my daughter go, I'll agree to whatever you ask for. All right, give House Yu 10 billion, and I'll let your daughter go. How's that? Fair, right? I'll buy my life with money. Ubaid laughed. Pengjan's face turned red. House Yu's conditions were unreasonable. 10 billion. Where was he going to get 10 billion for him? Wasn't he purposely making things difficult for him? What's wrong, Mr. Chu? You don't want to buy your life with money. Ubaid sneered. If that's the case, then don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Fool. Pengjan took in a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. He couldn't get angry. Pengjan reminded himself that this wasn't the time to go against House Yu. He had to hold it in. Mr. Yu, 10 billion, aren't you forcing me? Pengjan asked in a low voice. What, Pengjan, do you think your daughter isn't worth 10 billion? Ubaid asked. Chapter 947. Recovery. Breakthrough. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance if you can't, Ubaid said coldly. Which one of them is your daughter? Are they pretty? They're perfect as my son's concubine. Mr. Yu, please leave some leeway when you do things. Don't push things too far. There's a saying that things will go in the opposite direction when pushed to the extreme. I wonder if you've heard of it? Pengjan had no other choice but to threaten him. Oh. Ubaid looked at Pengjan with interest and laughed. So, you're threatening me? I wouldn't dare. Pengjan was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He could only compromise. I'm just saying something that hasn't changed since ancient times. Huh. Reasoning with me? Haitian, did you hear that? He's reasoning with me? Ha 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 ha. Ubaid laughed without restraint. He said to leave some leeway when I do things. Don't push things too far. Did you hear that? Third uncle, I heard that. Haitian nodded with a smile. Do you think it's funny? Ubaid mocked. Funny, this is too funny. Haitian also laughed out loud. Humph. Ubaid changed the topic and looked at Pengjan coldly. I don't leave any leeway when I do things. I'm going to push things too far. What can you do? What do you want? What do you want? Stare at me? Are you going to explode? Ha ha. Ubaid looked at Pengjan's helpless face and felt a sense of satisfaction, as if he had vented his anger. If it wasn't for Shueishing stopping him from killing Lin Yi, he would have killed Pengjan first before going after Lin Yi. The pleasure brought by humiliating others made Ubaid feel great. Pengjan's face turned purple. House, you didn't listen to reason at all. There was no logic to speak of. Pengjan's chest heaved up and down. He was so angry that he couldn't speak. In Lin Yi's room, in the jade pendant, Lin Yi's face couldn't help but show some anxiety. Although Lin Yi's body was in the jade pendant, his whole body was awake. Whatever happened outside, Lin Yi heard it clearly. Lin Yi also heard the conversation between Pingzhan and Meng Yao in the living room. Pingzhan's words touched Lin Yi a lot, and the miss and Shu following him touched him as well. Lin Yi didn't think that Pingzhan's situation had reached this point. The Xiao family and Zhao Qibing's men had come to his doorstep, even House Yu's men. Moreover, House Yu even wanted to take Miss away as a concubine. They really dared to dream. Although Miss wasn't Lin Yi's woman, Pingzhan's attitude made Lin Yi feel that taking care of Miss was his responsibility. Even if he took 10,000 steps back, he was still Miss's bodyguard. How could he let House Chu take Miss away? All right, since you guys are so arrogant, then each and every one of you will pay the price for your arrogance. However, Lin Yi was very anxious. His strength hadn't recovered yet, and Lin Yi really couldn't stand up for Miss right now. Hurry up a little more. Lin Yi was in the jade pendant space, absorbing the energy crazily. Hearing that House Yu was closing in, Lin Yi wanted to rush out right now, but Lin Yi knew that it wasn't enough yet. The moment he went out, it would be the death of these people. So, recovering his strength was very important. Lin Yi gritted his teeth. The energy in the jade pendant space surged into his body, and as Lin Yi's art of dragon mastery circulated faster and faster, the energy became stronger and stronger. Lin Yi's eyes opened abruptly. The energy in his body had reached its saturation state before his strength dropped. Finally recovered. His strength was finally back. However, Lin Yi didn't stop the circulation of the art of dragon mastery. Lin Yi knew that, according to his past experience, every time he lost his strength, he could absorb some energy into his body after he recovered, and it was very likely that his strength would break through. But if he stopped and practiced again, there wouldn't be such an effect. So, Lin Yi continued to absorb the energy in the jade pendant space because Lin Yi could clearly feel that although his body was saturated with energy, he could still absorb it. The energy around Lin Yi was getting more and more, and the energy around Lin Yi was fluctuating rapidly as Lin Yi absorbed more and more energy, forming a whirlpool around Lin Yi. On Lin Yi's face, an expression of extreme pain appeared. He felt that his body was about to explode, and the energy in his body was reaching its limit. If he didn't release it soon, he'd explode like a balloon. But Lin Yi didn't stop the circulation of the art of dragon mastery. Instead, he gritted his teeth and increased the speed of his cultivation. The energy around Lin Yi was mobilized again, and it quickly rushed into Lin Yi's body, and the energy in Lin Yi's body rose to a new height. As the energy in his body gathered more and more, Lin Yi's face showed a strange flush, and it looked a little strange through the energy whirlpool. Soon, really soon, Lin Yi snorted. Let the storm come fiercer. Boom! With a loud bang, Lin Yi felt like his whole body was about to fly into the sky. Under the huge impact of the energy in his body, the barrier between levels collapsed at this moment. Instantly, more energy rushed into Lin Yi's body. But this time, it didn't feel like he was about to burst his limit. But instead, there was a very comfortable, nourishing feeling. Breakthrough. After the breakthrough, Lin Yi's meridians could absorb more energy. The energy whirlpool around Lin Yi was getting weaker and weaker, and most of it was absorbed by Lin Yi's body. Lin Yi's face turned from red to healthy, and Lin Yi jumped up from his bed. Was this the power of the middle phase of the mystic division? As expected, it was a world of difference from the peak of the early phase of the mystic division. No wonder it was so difficult for him to defeat a physical master who was at the peak of the middle phase of the mystic division. Sometimes, the difference of one level was the difference between victory and defeat. Who? Lin Yi let out a breath and patted General Weiwu. It's time, General Weiwu. This time, we will be the main characters. Woof woof. General Weiwu, who was in a coma, seemed to feel the powerful and majestic aura from Lin Yi, and it woke up. It barked at Lin Yi happily. Chapter 948. Two choices, double payback. Although it was only one level, Lin Yi was already satisfied. One had to know that the higher the level, the harder it was to break through. Some people couldn't even take a step forward in their entire life. And Lin Yi wasn't even 20 years old. And he already had the strength of a mystic mid-phase. This was unimaginable among the noble houses and hidden houses. In the villa's living room, Pengzhan looked at the tyrannical Yu Bide sadly. Although he knew that there was no way to reason with House Yu, anyone would want to try their luck. Now that it seemed like there was no other way, Pengzhan could only smile bitterly. Yu Bide, you've gone too far. The heavens are watching what you do. Sooner or later, this revenge will fall on your House Yu's head. Haha, I'll be waiting for that day. Let me see where the revenge is. Yu Bide didn't care about Pengzhan's words at all. This world was a world where the strong lived. The weak were prey to the strong. This was an unchanging rule. He laughed and turned to Meng Yao and Yushu. Which one of you is Meng Yao? You can come with me now. Meng Yao took a deep breath and stood up slowly. Her eyes showed determination. I am. Good, then you can come with me now. Yu Bide nodded. He was quite satisfied with Yushu as well. He couldn't help but ask regretfully, who are you? She's from House Qin. If you dare to touch her, you can bring her back too. Meng Yao looked at Yu Bide mockingly and said faintly, House Qin? Yu Bide's expression froze. He suddenly remembered that the granddaughter of House Qin, Yushu, and Pengzhan's daughter were good friends. Although House Qin had fallen, it was still one of the noble houses. Yu Bide didn't dare to provoke them. He laughed. House Qin and House Yu have no grudges. Why would I want to capture her? I want to capture you. If you're not afraid that I'll kill your son, then bring me back. Meng Yao raised her head and looked at Yu Bide as if she was facing death. Yes, Meng Yao was stalling for time. Just now, Shu secretly hinted to her to stall for time and wait for Shield Bro. Although Meng Yao didn't know why Yushu was so confident all of a sudden, she still did as she was told. Shu may be crazy, but Meng Yao had to admit that a lot of the words that came out of her mouth turned into reality. It was not an exaggeration to call her prophet Shu. In fact, Yushu didn't know why she was so confident in Shield Bro. But the two barks reminded her of the day Lin Yi brought General Weiwu to the room for treatment after he was injured. When General Weiwu recovered and Lin Yi walked out of the room, Yushu also heard two excited barks from General Weiwu. It was a happy barking, just like today. How dare you? Yu Bide's face turned ugly after hearing Meng Yao's words. Do you believe that I'll kill your entire family right now? I don't believe you. A faint voice rang out. Although it was not loud, it was filled with confidence. It was Lin Yi. Meng Yao turned her head in disbelief and saw Lin Yi walk out of the room, a faint smile on his face that made her want to beat him up. At his feet was General Weiwu, full of vigor and vigor. Pengzhan was shocked as well. He didn't think that Lin Yi would walk out of the room at this time, and to stand up for his daughter. Could he deal with House Yu? Pengzhan was afraid that House Yu would harm Lin Yi in a fit of rage. Yushu, on the other hand, was very excited. She felt that her prophecy was successful again. Lin Yi, you still dare to come out? I thought you ran away. Yu Bide didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. From his point of view, if he didn't look for trouble with Lin Yi would already be burning incense. How dare Lin Yi take the initiative to come out? Did he really think that House Yu wouldn't dare to kill him? House Yu, I heard that you want all of Uncle Chu's Pengzhan Industries shares. Lin Yi ignored Yu Bide's sarcasm and asked indifferently, So what if I am? You have a problem with that? Yu Bide asked coldly. Oh, I have a part of Uncle Chu's shares. You didn't even ask me before you took it? Lin Yi's tone was still calm, but it was full of accusation. You still want to forcefully bring Yao Yao to House Yu to be a concubine? Are you out of your mind? Lin Yi, do you want to die? Yu Bai's eyes burned with fire. He couldn't take it anymore. Although his second brother advised him not to act recklessly against Lin Yi, at this moment, he only wanted to kill Lin Yi. Even if the power behind Lin Yi came out to punish him, it was Lin Yi's own fault for being a busybody. What did it have to do with him? You don't have to care whether I die or not. Lin Yi looked at Yu Bai with disdain. But I know that you are going to die soon. Now I'll give you two choices. The first choice is to give me all of House Yu's shares and some shares of other businesses. Then I'll have two girls from House Yu come over to be my concubines. The second choice, you die. Huh. Yu Bai was amused by Lin Yi's words. He didn't think that Lin Yi would dare to say something like this. Who did he think he was? Even if he had other powers behind him, he was just a useless person. A useless person saying something like this. Wasn't he tired of living? Oh, Shield Bro, you're awesome. I'm the concubine now. I can have a concubine to order around. Yu Shu shouted excitedly. Meng Yao couldn't help but smile as well. Lin Yi's conditions were basically giving back double of what House Yu had asked for. She didn't know where Lin Yi got his confidence from. Could it be that he recovered his strength? But when Meng Yao saw the confident smile on Lin Yi's face, she felt relieved. It's over, it's finally over, isn't it? Everything will be fine. Peng Zhan was surprised as well. He wasn't stupid. He noticed that something was amiss. Lin Yi became stronger, extremely stronger. Only the idiot Yu Bai didn't realize why Lin Yi became so strong. Hatred filled his mind. He smiled coldly. Aren't you afraid of losing your tongue? Give you House Yu's businesses? And two, are you dreaming? Let the girls from House Yu be your concubine? What are you thinking? Are you retarded? I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it. Lin Yi ignored Yu Bai's sarcasm. The countdown starts. 3, 2. Chapter 949. Killed by a dog bang. Before Yu Bai could count to 2.6, he flew backward and spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell heavily from the broken door of the mansion and landed in the yard of the mansion. Everyone was shocked. Yu Haitian looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Lin Yi sent Yu Bai flying with one palm? How was that possible? Didn't Lin Yi lose his strength? Wasn't he a cripple? Yu Bai's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Lin Yi's strength didn't disappear? How was that possible? Plus, he was an early phase mystic class master, and he couldn't even take one hit from Lin Yi? Lin Yi was only a peak early phase mystic class master. Even if he was half a level higher than him, it shouldn't be this bad, right? I was too careless. I must have been too careless. Yu Bai felt sad. Fuck, he was tricked by this bastard Lin Yi. He didn't lose his strength at all. He was pretending to be weak. He confused me and attacked me when I wasn't paying attention. That's why I was heavily injured. Early phase mystic class? House Yu doesn't have any masters. The son is useless and the father is useless. Lin Yi waved his hand, a hint of disdain on his face. Can you consider my conditions now? Die, or give me 2 properties and 2 concubines from House Yu. Kill me if you have the guts. Yu Bai was pissed off by Lin Yi's words. Although Lin Yi was pretending to be weak, Yu Bai didn't think that Lin Yi would really kill him. He thought that Lin Yi wouldn't dare. General Weiwu, it was his son who almost killed you. Go get revenge on his father now. Lin Yi ordered General Weiwu calmly. Go, kill him. Woof woof. General Weiwu wanted to test its strength. How could it let go of such a good opportunity to take revenge? She jumped up from Lin Yi's side and came to Yu Bai's side. Yu Bai gritted his teeth in anger. He didn't dare to kill Lin Yi. First, he wasn't sure of Lin Yi's background. Second, he wasn't a match for Lin Yi at all. He was very depressed, but at this moment, Lin Yi actually sent a dog to disgust him. Yu Bide was instantly enraged and was ready to vent his anger on this dog. Since his son's injury was caused by this dog, he would use this dog's blood to avenge his son. Yu Bide believed that if he killed a dog, Lin Yi and the forces behind him wouldn't say anything. Therefore, Yu Bide had this mentality. When General Weiwu ran over, he suddenly raised his palm and slapped it. Although Yu Bide was heavily injured, he felt that he only needed a little bit of strength to kill a dog. However, just as Yu Bide slapped, General Weiwu also jumped up and kicked Yu Bide's palm with its hind legs. Pung! Yu Bide's body flew out once again, directly outside the mansion. Yu Bide's body landed heavily on the ground. He twitched a few times and then stopped moving. Therefore, an early phase mystic class master died under the claws of General Weiwu, who was at the peak of the late phase of golden class. With General Weiwu's spiritual strength at the peak of the late phase of golden class, killing a severely injured early phase mystic class master wasn't a problem. Third uncle. Yu Haitian didn't expect Lin Yi to attack, just like that. He didn't leave any leeway and let a dog kill Yu Bide in the end. His face immediately revealed a look of fear and horror. Yu Haitian wasn't a martial artist and didn't know any martial arts. At this moment, he was so scared that he didn't dare to say anything disrespectful to Lin Yi. He quickly ran out of the mansion and came to Yu Bide's side. He reached out his hand to feel Yu Bide's breath. Gone. Yu Bide was dead. Yu Haitian was even more scared. This Lin Yi even dared to kill Yu Bide, let alone Yu Haitian. Looking at Lin Yi, who followed him out of the mansion, Yu Haitian turned pale. What are you doing? I'm just a follower. I came with third uncle. He's the one in charge. I know you're just a small fry. Lin Yi said faintly. Go back and tell Yu Shuaixing that he owes me 2 business shares and 2 concubines. I, Lin Yi, always keep my words. Tell him to be prepared. But you already killed third uncle. Yu Haitian didn't expect that Lin Yi would continue to bring up such terrifying conditions after killing Yu Bide. The dog killed him, not me. Lin Yi said faintly. Plus, I'm talking about killing your entire family, not just him. All right, I'll bring these words to him. Yu Haitian nodded sorrowfully. Before, they were the stronger side, but in the blink of an eye, he had to run away with his uncle's corpse. Oh, then why are you still standing here? You can leave now. Don't delay me from dealing with the Shao family. Lin Yi waved his hand impatiently. Yu Haitian clenched his teeth and carried his uncle's corpse. He quickly got into an SUV in front of the mansion, started the car and left the mansion. As he drove, Yu Haitian dialed Yanjing's house Yu's number. Through Yu Feng, he found Yu Shuaixing. Yu Haitian cried out, second uncle, bad news, third uncle was killed. What did you say? Who was killed? Yu Shuaixing paused, not understanding Yu Haitian's words. Third uncle. Third uncle was beaten to death. Yu Haitian repeated himself. Bide. He's dead? How did he die? Who killed him? Yu Shuaixing's face paled when he heard Yu Haitian's words, and even his tone changed. Yes, third uncle is dead. He was beaten to death by a dog. Yu Haitian felt that something was off. Wah. Yu Shuaixing thought that he'd heard wrong. What did you say? Who killed him? Dog. Yu Haitian smiled bitterly. Dog? You're saying that Bide was killed by a dog? Are you kidding me? Haitian, are you kidding me? It's not April Fool's today, is it? Yu Shuaixing asked in disbelief. After all, this was too unbelievable. His third brother was a mystic, early-phase spiritual practitioner. How could he be killed by a dog? Second uncle, I'm not mistaken. Third uncle really was killed by a dog. Yu Haitian sweated as he recalled the scene. Chapter 950. Lin Yi. Everyone who likes my books, I'll continue to explode in 2012. Just wait and see. Tang Yin. So many people like Lin Yi, I'm so conflicted. But for Lin Yi, I'll hold it in. You guys can vote for me with flowers. Meng Yao, you guys can like Lin Yi all you want, I don't care. What does it have to do with me? Yushu, I'm helping Shield Bro to vote for him. If you vote, you'll have good luck for the whole year. Shu's prophecy is very accurate. Chapter 951. House you, shocked. Yes, uncle, it's the kind of dog that barks. Haitian explained, sweating profusely. Are you serious? Killed by a dog? Shuaishing felt that Haitian's words were a little unbelievable. A mystic early phase spiritual practitioner was killed by a dog? Second uncle, how would I dare to joke about such an important matter? Haitian said, sweating profusely. He was killed by the dog called General Weiwu, by Lin Yi's side. Wasn't that dog killed by Yu Kuan? Shuaishing paused. It didn't die, the dog was pretty smart. Lin Yi told it that the father pays the son's debts, so the dog killed uncle. Haitian said, your uncle is a mystic early phase spiritual practitioner. Even a normal person wouldn't be able to kill him that easily, let alone a dog. Shuaishing didn't understand. Even if the dog had a high IQ and knew how to get revenge on Ubaid, it still needed the ability to do so. Yes, second uncle. I think that dog is not an ordinary dog. Although I am not a cultivator, the powerful aura that came from the dog's body indicates that it is not an ordinary dog. Yu Haitian said with some lingering fear. So you guys went to cause trouble for Pengzhan today, and then that General Weiwu came out and killed Ubaid? Shuaishing finally had an idea, but he still didn't believe that a dog could be that strong. No, uncle, Lin Yi wasn't injured at all, and his strength didn't drop. Haitian said fearfully, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's been so many days, and there's no news from him at all. Just when third uncle and I were about to go and take Pengzhan's daughter away by force, Lin Yi suddenly showed up and sent third uncle flying with one palm. That General Weiwu rushed over and gave him a kick, and third uncle died just like that. Lin Yi wasn't injured? His strength didn't drop? A dog is a practitioner. This series of news exploded in Shuaishing's ears, and he didn't know what to do. What was going on? Hadn't they already investigated it? Lin Yi was heavily injured and didn't have any strength at all. How did he suddenly recover? And his strength wasn't affected at all. Was he pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Did he purposely create the illusion of being injured to lure the enemy over? No. Shuaishing frowned. It was possible that Lin Yi was a wolf in sheep's clothing, but that dog couldn't possibly do that. Yu Kuan had already said that he killed the dog, and its internal organs were all destroyed. Even if he could save it, it would be a cripple. How was it possible that it became a training dog? Shuaishing thought of a terrifying possibility. Lin Yi had been injured before, but now he'd recovered, and not only that, he'd become even stronger. It was the same for that dog. It was already injured beyond repair, but now it had actually become a cultivation dog. What kind of great power was behind Lin Yi? Even the hidden houses didn't have this kind of power, right? Not only did he manage to save the lives of a severely injured man and a dying dog, he even gave them more powerful strength. How many heavenly materials and earthly treasures were used? And how many experts were guarding it to achieve such an effect? Shuaishing realized that he'd made a huge mistake. He shouldn't have gone to Songshan to join in the fun. If Shao family wanted to die, then let them be. He could just sit back and watch the tigers fight. Why did he have to get involved? However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. After hearing that his third brother was killed, Shuaishing really wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Lin Yi knew how powerful Haosu was, and yet he dared to kill Ubaid. There were only two possibilities. One was that he was rash, and the other was that Lin Yi had something to rely on. He wasn't afraid of Haosu, or rather, the power behind him wasn't afraid of Haosu. Of course! Shuaishing was leaning towards the latter. According to Yu Kuan, Lin Yi wanted to kill him, and it was Li Fu who spoke up that made Lin Yi go easy on him. The first time was fine, but was it possible for him to be rash again? Plus, Lin Yi had been holding back for so many days, waiting for House Yu to mess with him before killing him at the last moment. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to make an example out of him? Haitian, tell me everything that happened in detail. Don't miss out on any details. Shueising took a deep breath and asked, Yes, uncle, this is what happened. Haitian recounted everything that happened, including what he said to his third uncle, as well as Peng Zhan's reaction. In the end, he didn't forget to tell Shueising about Lin Yi's arrogant demands. This Lin, how arrogant! How dare he threaten House Yu! Shueising was furious after hearing what Lin Yi had Haitian tell him, but his heart was filled with suspicions. What gave Lin Yi the guts to say something like that? From Peng Zhan's reaction, it seemed like he didn't know that Lin Yi's strength had recovered. This meant that Peng Zhan might have been tricked by Lin Yi as well. The kid was pretending to be weak, and he didn't tell anyone about his recovery. All for this final burst of power. Scary. What a scary thought process. Shueising sighed. If Lin Yi was as he guessed, then what was his real goal? Was it against House Yu, Xiao family, or Zhao Qibing? Perhaps, in his eyes, these people were just pawns, and he had a deeper purpose? Yes, uncle, what do we do now? Haitian asked carefully. Bring your uncle's body back to Yanjing immediately. Don't bother with what's going on over there. Shueising was scared, truly scared. House Yu had been running amok for so many years, and no one dared to disrespect them, let alone kill them. But Lin Yi was completely unrestrained, killing one of the core members of House Yu and injuring the other. And he even wanted the shares of House Yu's businesses. What's more, he wanted the two girls of House Yu to be his concubines. Was he dreaming, or did he really have the strength to do that? But no matter what, Shueising was starting to regret it. For a few map fragments, he'd made such a terrifying enemy. This wasn't House Yu's fortune. Chapter 952. Here comes another one. If Lin Yi didn't have a background, then Shueising would kill him himself. If he did, then Shueising would demand justice for his brother and nephew. Even if he had to take the case to the noble house arbitration, he'd sue Lin Yi for going too far. But Shueising had never once considered whether he'd gone too far when he'd sent people to make things difficult for House Chu. Many people would only think about other people's mistakes, but never their own. Hatred had clouded Shueising's rationality. He didn't think that his family did anything wrong, and that it was all Lin Yi's fault. But no matter what, Shueising chose to endure it. He was filled with hatred, but he wouldn't act rashly anymore. Ew! Peng Zhan was surprised and overjoyed when he saw House Yu running away. He truly didn't think that at the most critical moment for House Chu, when they were about to be destroyed, Lin Yi would turn the situation around in an instant. The arrogant man who wanted to kill his family was killed by Lin Yi, by General Wei Wu. At the thought, Peng Zhan's face turned weird. Since when did General Wei Wu become so strong? He could kill a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner with one kick? Even if Yu Bide was heavily injured by Lin Yi, he couldn't have been killed by a dog so easily, could he? Could it be that Lin Yi had trained or modified General Wei Wu? Ah, sorry I came out late. Lin Yi smiled, but luckily I made it in time. Otherwise I might have had to go to Yanjing if Yao Yao was captured. Who asked you to go? I wouldn't have come back myself. Meng Yao blushed. She felt a very sweet feeling in her heart. But on the outside, she didn't seem to care. Didn't you say you lost your strength? How did you become so strong all of a sudden? Well, it's a long story. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. It was a coincidence, I guess. General Wei Wu helped me recover my strength. General Wei Wu helped you regain your strength? Peng Zhan looked at Lin Yi, surprised. Does that mean you don't need to go back home? Only then did Lin Yi remember the issue of returning to his hometown. Previously, he was immersed in the joy of recovering his strength and forgot that he was preparing to return to his hometown. But since Pingjan had already resigned, Lin Yi couldn't stay any longer. "I'll go back after dealing with these problems." Pingjan didn't say anything, but the Mist's face changed. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but didn't know what to say. She kicked Shu, subconsciously. "Oh, Shield Bro, you're breaking your promise." Yushu spoke up immediately after Mingyao's signal. "Oh." Lin Yi couldn't help but be stunned. "How did I go back on my word? We hooked our pinkies before, and you said that if you recovered and became stronger than before, you'd come back to be our bodyguard and stay in the villa forever." Yushu said confidently. "Wah." Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly after hearing Yushu's words. Only now did he realize that he had fallen into Yushu's trap. What Yushu said before wasn't out of her own feelings. It was probably premeditated by this girl. Otherwise, why would she say it out so easily? Lin Yi didn't think too much about it at that time. He just casually said a few words to brush off Yushu, but he didn't expect that he would be trapped by that one sentence. Was he going to stay in the villa forever? "Ha! I was about to say something to make you stay, but since Shu and Yi have reached an agreement, it seems like my words are unnecessary. I don't need to say anything anymore." Pingjan laughed. "All right." Lin Yi nodded. There was still some time before the 5-year deadline, so Lin Yi wasn't in a rush to go back home. But he didn't know if Tang Yin would be happy when she found out. "Oh, Prophet Shu is amazing, la la la." Yushu shouted excitedly. Meng Yao was happy as well, but she didn't show it as obviously as Yushu. She only smiled and said, "Lin Yi, then I'll have to trouble you from now on." Lin Yi was just about to tease the miss when footsteps came from the villa's courtyard again. "Ha, another one coming to die?" Lin Yi's lips curled into a cold smile. "That's good. Saves me the trouble of going to them." Xiao family also received news from Jiangwen today, saying that Pingjan was planning to escape with Meng Yao, and that the company's shares and properties had been secretly transferred out. This made the Xiao family furious. This was also because Jiangwen was afraid that one house you wouldn't be enough pressure for Pingjan. So he contacted the Xiao family and told them to pressure Pingjan as well. It would be best if Pingjan was forced into a corner. Jiangwen appearing at this time would be like a savior, and he wouldn't have to worry about Pingjan not agreeing to his terms. And so Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben, along with Uncle Pai, went to Pingjan's company after receiving the call, only to find that Pingjan wasn't there. It took them a while to get back to Mingyao's villa, only to see Pingjan's car. On the way, Xiao Ji called Huli and told her to come to Mingyao's house as well. After all, this was caused by Huli, and it would be good for her to see Pingjan's family in such a miserable state. It would be a good way for her to vent her anger. In fact, Xiao Ji really liked this second wife of his. After all, Huli's skills in bed were amazing, and Xiao Ji felt like dying every day. He didn't forget to bring Huli along when he came to Pingjan's place to vent his anger. Go Huli was having her beauty treatment outside when she heard that her husband had brought Uncle Pai and his brother-in-law to cause trouble for Pingjan. She couldn't be bothered with the treatment any longer. She washed her face and drove her Ferrari home in a hurry. What happened to Pingjan's house? Why is the door like this? Xiao Ji looked at Meng Yao's villa curiously. Why did the door look like it was kicked to pieces? Could it be that someone is a step ahead of us and is looking for trouble? Xiao Ben frowned. Even House Yu was here, and the Xiao family naturally knew about it as well. They also found out about House Yu's conditions. House Yu wanted all of Pingjan Industries shares, and didn't that include Pingjan's business building and hotel? Chapter 953. Don't pretend. That's impossible, right? If House Yu comes, wouldn't we have wasted our efforts? Xiao Ji was getting a little pissed at the thought. He strode into the villa, yelling as he walked, "Where's Pingzhan? Get out here right now." However, no one in the villa responded. "Damn it, is there anyone? Pingzhan, you old bastard, are you there or not?" Xiao Ji was panicking. If Pingzhan wasn't here, or if he was killed, then who would the Xiao family ask for money from? However, she did not answer him this time. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben couldn't wait to enter the villa, only to see Pingzhan, Meng Yao, and even Lin Yi there. The few of them stood in the living room of the villa, looking at Xiao Ji and the others with a strange expression. "What are you looking at? Damn it! Why aren't you answering when I'm talking to you? Are you deaf or scared silly?" Xiao Ji felt that Pingzhan and the others were acting a little weird, but he didn't think too much about it. He was here for money and property after all. How could he get it if he wasn't a little more forceful? "Mr. Xiao, I don't know why you're making such a fuss in my daughter's villa." Pingzhan was emboldened. He knew that Lin Yi had recovered his strength, so he wasn't as afraid as before. "What can I do for you?" "Fuck you, Pingzhan, don't play dumb with me. Have you thought about the conditions I gave you last time? 200 million yuan of startup capital, property rights of Pengzhan Commercial Building and Pengzhan Business Hotel." Xiao Ji was a very uncouth person, and he felt a sense of superiority in front of Pingzhan. As a result, cursing and swearing was very pleasurable for him, especially when he saw Pingzhan's expression of anger but not daring to speak up. It gave Xiao Ji a great sense of satisfaction. "Mr. Xiao, you are also a descendant of an aristocratic family. How can you speak so uncivilly?" Pingzhan looked at Xiao Ji mockingly. He felt as if he had vented his frustration. This was the first time he didn't have to look at Xiao Ji's face. F***CK, do I need you to teach me how to speak? If you don't want to die, don't talk nonsense. Are you out of your mind? Xiao Ji didn't want to waste any more time with Pingzhan as he reached out his hand. "Are you going to give us 200 million? Lin Yi looked at Xiao Ji and asked calmly, "Give it to your mother." Xiao Ji couldn't help but glare at Lin Yi. "Who the hell are you?" "I'm Lin Yi, don't you know me?" Lin Yi ignored Xiao Ji's insults and explained in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. "Lin Yi? Ha ha ha, I know. You are that useless trash without strength. You still dare to come out and join the fun?" When Xiao Ji heard Lin Yi's name, the expression on his face instantly became incomparably wonderful. He immediately convulsed with laughter. Xiao Ben suddenly felt that something was wrong. He was more meticulous than his brother Xiao Ji, and was the smartest person in the Xiao family. When he saw Lin Yi appear and Pengzhan's expression, there was no fear or anger on his face, only calmness. His heart skipped a beat. No, something was definitely wrong. Xiao Ben frowned and pulled Xiao Ji back, stopping him from continuing. He carefully probed. "Pingzhan, did someone come here earlier?" "Yes." Pingzhan smiled inwardly. This Xiao Ben wasn't an idiot, only realizing that something was wrong now, but it was already too late. Pingzhan knew Lin Yi's personality very well. If the Xiao family had cried and begged for mercy as soon as they came in, and given Lin Yi some conditions, perhaps Lin Yi would let them go. But now that Xiao Ji had completely offended Lin Yi, would Lin Yi still let them go? "Is it House Yu?" Xiao Ben's face was a little ugly. As far as he was concerned, House Yu must have come and made some sort of agreement with Pingzhan. That was why Pingzhan was so fearless. Even the crippled Lin Yi jumped out. "Yes." Pingzhan nodded. "What did House Yu give you?" Xiao Ben's face darkened. If House Yu was really involved in this, then things wouldn't be good. "House Yu gave me the shares of House Yu's auction house and another business, along with 2 House Yu girls as concubines." Lin Yi looked at Xiao Ben and said faintly, "Now it's your Xiao family's turn. I heard that you asked for 200 million? You also asked for the property rights of Pengzhan Business Tower and Pengzhan Business Hotel?" Very well. Give me 400 million and the property rights of the 4 businesses, and you can get lost. What? Xiao Ben froze, not really understanding what Lin Yi was saying. If House Yu came and asked for benefits, then at the same time, they had secretly agreed to some of Peng Zhan's conditions, which would make Peng Zhan calm down again. After all, Xiao Ben had heard that House Yu wanted Peng Zhan's daughter, Meng Yao, to be a concubine, and Peng Zhan would be House Yu's father-in-law, so he had the right to be calm. But now it didn't seem to be the case. Lin Yi's words made Xiao Ben feel strange. From Lin Yi's words, it seemed like House Yu had suffered a loss here, and they had no choice but to agree to some conditions. If House Yu and Peng Zhan were really on good terms, then would Lin Yi still be able to say such outrageous things? However, Xiao Ben only froze for a moment, and he had an idea. If Lin Yi didn't say such a messy and serious thing, Xiao Ben might be afraid, suspicious, and think that Peng Zhan had gotten help from House Yu. But with Lin Yi's words, Xiao Ben was relieved. House Yu was a powerful existence, after all. They were the #1 noble house among all the noble houses. How could House Yu compensate Peng Zhan with the shares of House Yu's auction house and another business? As for House Yu sending 2 girls to be Lin Yi's concubines, that was even more impossible. How noble were the girls of House Yu! Even if they were to marry, they would choose another noble house, and they had to be the legal wife. Why would they be someone's concubine? And so, Xiao Ben naturally thought that he had guessed the truth behind Peng Zhan's calmness. They must be faking it. Before he came, they had already discussed it, pretending to be so calm, making him think that they had something to rely on, using this to scare him away. Indeed, Peng Zhan's expression did scare Xiao Ben, but their mistake was to let Lin Yi jump out and say something that seemed so powerful and scary. Lin Yi's words were a little too overboard. Although it was powerful, if it was too powerful, then he would be an idiot. Chapter 954. Chapter 952. A strange scene here. Uncle Pai walked out coldly and looked at Peng Zhan. Peng Zhan, this old man doesn't want to kill anyone, so I hope you can make the right choice. Wei Zhizuan was barely alive in my hands, but you're too weak. Oh, I heard that you were the one who hit Wei Zhizuan, heavily injuring him. Lin Yi turned to Uncle Pai. That's right, it was me. Do you want to try? Uncle Pai nodded proudly. Oh, I'd have forgotten if you hadn't reminded me. Everything you've done to Uncle Chu, I'll pay you back double. Lin Yi's voice was as calm as ever, without a hint of emotion. But you're too weak in front of me. If I hit you twice, you'd be dead. What did you say, you brat? Uncle Pai was furious after hearing Lin Yi's words. As far as he was concerned, a cripple talking to him like that was suicidal. How about this? Seeing that you're doing things for the Xiao family, I won't kill you. Lin Yi said faintly. I'll use 50% of my strength to hit you, and if you can take it, you can leave. I won't make things difficult for you. But if you can't take it, then there's nothing I can do. Wah. Uncle Pai paused for a moment before bursting into laughter. He slapped his chest. You hit me? All right, I'll let you. But if you can't kill me, then I'll kill you. Let's see what you can do. With that, Uncle Pai stood in front of Lin Yi with his chest puffed out. He was a mystic mid-phase peak physical practitioner, and even before Lin Yi lost his strength, Lin Yi was only a mystic early phase. There were 2 levels apart, and so Uncle Pai didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. Wait, Xiao Ben saw that Lin Yi seemed to be serious and suddenly hesitated. If he was just showing off, then why did he slap Uncle Pai in the first place? Therefore, Xiao Ben wanted to ask again. What happened today was a bit too strange. However, Xiao Ben was still a step too late. Lin Yi's palm smacked out. Uncle Pai was still laughing and patting his chest, looking at Lin Yi mockingly, but the next moment he was like a kite with a broken string, flying out of the villa with a whoosh, landing on the road in front of the villa with a loud thud. Xiao Ji was stunned, and so was Xiao Ben. They all stared blankly at Lin Yi. As far as they knew, Lin Yi didn't have any strength left. How could he send Uncle Pai flying with a single palm strike? Could it be? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben looked at each other and thought of a terrifying possibility. Lin Yi's strength didn't disappear. It was all an illusion. You. Xiao Ji's eyes widened as he pointed at Lin Yi, saying you 3 times, but he couldn't say anything else. Don't you? I was afraid that I would kill him, so I only used 40% of my strength. He probably won't die, Lin Yi said calmly. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben heard Lin Yi's words and didn't say anything else. They turned around and ran out of the mansion, wanting to check on Uncle Pai's injuries. After all, Uncle Pai was the Xiao family's only support. If anything happened to Uncle Pai, then the Xiao family's strength would plummet. Right now, the Xiao family status as a noble family was in danger. Nothing could happen to Uncle Pai. The 2 of them quickly ran out of the courtyard, but just as they stepped out of the mansion, they heard a screech of brakes. The car screeched to a halt. Bang! Just as Peeble flew out of the mansion, he was hit by an oncoming red Ferrari and was sent flying. Uncle Pai screamed in pain as he fell to the ground, blood bubbling out of his mouth. He wasn't going to make it, huh? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben looked at each other with their eyes wide open. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? How did Uncle Pai get hit by a car? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were dumbfounded. They didn't know what to do, and just as they were about to check on Uncle Pai, a woman jumped out of the red Ferrari and started yelling. Which old fart is this? Don't you watch where you're going? You just came out like that. Are you trying to extort money from me? Let me tell you, don't even think about extorting money from me. Who do you think I am? I'm from the Xiao family from Yanjing. My Ferrari is worth a few million yuan, and it even damaged my car. It was Xiao Ji's second wife, Go Huli. Go Huli had received a call from Xiao Ji saying that she was going to humiliate Pingzhan's family today, and so she hurried back from the beauty salon. She wanted to see Pingzhan's family as soon as possible, so she drove a little faster. But just as she reached House Chu's mansion, a black shadow ran in front of her car, and Go Huli couldn't stop in time, sending the black shadow flying. When she got out of the car, she realized that it was an old man, his face covered in blood from being hit by her car. Go Huli was used to being arrogant, and she wasn't afraid of something like this. Wasn't it just a car accident? She didn't do it on purpose, and at most she'd just pay some money. While Go Huli was acting arrogantly, Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were dumbfounded. They never would have thought that the person who hit Uncle Pai was Go Huli. Xiao Ji was infuriated and rushed over, swinging his arm and giving Go Huli a big slap. You useless bitch, are you blind? Go Huli was stunned and looked at Xiao Ji in disbelief. Hubby, why did you hit me? Hit you? Are you fucking blind? Do you even know how to drive? F***CK, your 4th uncle. Xiao Ji slapped again, and Go Huli's mouth started bleeding. Look at who you hit. It's Uncle Pai. You bitch. Ah. Go Huli was dumbfounded by Xiao Ji's words. What? The person she hit was Uncle Pai? Bro, alright, don't hit sis-in-law. Let's check on Uncle Pai first. Xiao Ben was panicking as well, but he knew the severity of the situation. What could hitting solve at a time like this? Let's check on Uncle Pai first. Humph. I'll deal with you when we get home. Xiao Ji quickly turned around and ran to Uncle Pai. Chapter 955. Roles reversed, it's over. Xiao Ben only took one look, and his heart immediately turned cold. His head is smashed, and his brain juice is flowing out. Can he still live? Hurry up and call the ambulance. Xiao Ji was panicking as well, glaring at Huli. What are you looking at? Hurry up and call the ambulance. Oh, yes. Go Huli nodded and took out her phone to call the emergency center. In the villa. Lin Yi's eyes were wide open as well. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Wasn't this too much? How did this Uncle Pai die? Did he get hit by himself, or did he get run over by a car? Yao Yao, that Huli's so pitiful. She killed a master from the Shao family. Shield Bro's been merciful for nothing, Yushu said regretfully. She'll probably be hung up and beaten when we get home tonight. I really want to go see. The scene was a little bloody, but it was a dramatic ending. Meng Yao couldn't help but smile. Yeah, their family sure is unlucky. Pingzhan didn't expect things to end up like this, too. The Shao family's master got run over by the Shao family's daughter-in-law. The Shao family had fallen to a certain point, and Pingzhan didn't have the heart to bully them anymore. You guys go deal with the funerals first. When you're done, I'll get someone to talk to me about the 400 million and the 4 properties. Lin Yi looked at the Shao family brothers and shook his head. You guys saw it yourself. Life is full of surprises. And the next one might be you. Shao Ji and Shao Ben shivered at Lin Yi's threat. At this moment, they truly felt fear. Lin Yi's strength hadn't disappeared at all. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was that Uncle Pai was dead. The Shao family wouldn't have anything to rely on anymore, wouldn't they? Shao Ji and Shao Ben were both shocked and infuriated. They didn't think that Lin Yi wouldn't stop after Uncle Pai's death. He wanted to extort money and 4 properties from them. This was simply going too far. But they didn't realize that after they'd let Uncle Pai injure Wei Jizuan, they'd push Pingzhan into a corner as well. But how could the Shao family have any property rights? They wouldn't need to fight for Pingzhan's property if they had their own. As for the 400 million, the Shao family could afford it. But that was after selling all their properties in Yanjing. They were preparing to expand their business in Songshan. How could they give it to Lin Yi? But the current situation was that the Shao family didn't want to give it to him. Would Lin Yi let them go? Looking at Uncle Pai and the Shao family being taken away by the ambulance, Lin Yi didn't feel the slightest bit of sympathy. Perhaps this was what they meant by the evils they brought upon themselves are the hardest to bear. It's time for the next house. Lin Yi shrugged and turned to Pingzhan. Uncle Chu, I'm going to the floating cloud bar. Oh, Yi, you're still planning to cause trouble for Zhao Qibing. Pingzhan paused. Since they came to our doorstep, how can they learn their lesson if I don't teach them a lesson? Lin Yi shook his head. But this Zhao Qibing doesn't seem to have a good memory. All right, be careful. Pingzhan saw that Lin Yi was so insistent, so he didn't say anything else. He knew that the strong preyed on the weak. If you didn't teach them a lesson after being bullied, they'd think that you were afraid of them. They'd come back to bully you again. Only when someone bullies you, and you step on them back fiercely, to the point where the other party is afraid of you, can you make them fear you. But you better come back early, Pingzhan said hesitantly. After all, it's a critical period right now. I'm worried that House Yu and Shao family will retaliate and come back to take revenge on Yao Yao and Shu. Don't worry, Lin Yi smiled. General Wei Wu isn't someone to be trifled with. Besides, would they dare to come back? But, Uncle Chu, you'll have to spend your own money to fix the door. We don't know when we'll get House Yu's property back. As long as House Yu and Shao family had enough power, they'd definitely come back for revenge. But now wasn't the time. Of course. Pingzhan smiled bitterly. Only Lin Yi dared to say something like that. He killed Yu Bide and still dared to ask for benefits from House Yu. But his father was right. Lin Yi was Lin Yi after all. Songshan's passive situation still depended on him to solve it. It was as if all the troubles had disappeared in an instant. The weak side had become the strong side. Pingzhan couldn't even get used to the sudden change of roles. Just this morning, he was still worried about House Chu's future and his daughter's future. But now he was worried about House Yu, Shao family, and Zhao Qibing. Lin Yi, be careful. Meng Yao waited for Lin Yi to walk to the door before speaking. Her tone was flat, but Lin Yi could see the deep concern in her eyes the moment he turned back to look at the Mississippi. Okay, Lin nodded. The mist had always been like this, cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Lin was used to it. Good luck, shield bro. Yushu waved her fist. I've always had high hopes for you. Lin nodded to them and left the villa. He got on Yushu's beetle and drove to the floating cloud bar. Jiang Wen had encouraged Haoxiu and Xiao family to go after Pingzhan, and Jiang Wen was waiting for Pingzhan to call him for help. From his perspective, Pingzhan would definitely agree to his suggestion under the pressure of Haoxiu and Xiao family. There was no other reason. Although Meng Yao might not like him, marrying him was the best option for Meng Yao compared to marrying a stranger like Haoxiu. He believed that Pingzhan wasn't an idiot. He should be able to understand this. If Meng Yao married him, Pingzhan would not only protect Pingzhan Industries, but also his daughter's happiness. Jiang Wen truly liked Meng Yao. So even if he married Meng Yao, he would love her dearly and wouldn't do anything to her. Jiang Wen looked at the time on his watch. Didn't Haoxiu say they were going early in the morning? It was already 8, and he didn't know if there were any results yet. There was no news from Xiao family either. Were they going or not? You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.